Where it really got scary for me was when we were actually going to open orders, because we'd been building towards this for maybe 8 months. We had actually remortgaged the house. We had ordered the material. We had done all those things. And then it's time to actually put them on sale.
The order's open. How does it go?
Yeah. So we launch it. We're on a terrible website because I'm just doing everything. We had a website. It was on WooCommerce, and clock's ticking down to the launch, and then it launches, and then the website just completely crashes.
Oh, man. Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by LMNT. I'm your co-host, Zach Badger Davis, and our segment co-host is...
Sassafras.
There she is. Jess is here to join us for the segment because I'm singing a song right now, and Chaunce is getting married right now. Nice. Well, we've talked about PCT Trail Days, jokingly, it being past tense in many episodes, but now it's actually in the past tense. We just got back this past weekend from PCT Trail Days, and I love this festival so much. It is the best. And as we typically do, I want to give a recap of our time out there. Very fun. Jess was with us, obviously. Where did we start? We start on Thursday, where both you and Chaunce looked a little worse for the wear getting onto that plane on Thursday.
Oh yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that was a rough flight for us. What time was the wake up for you?
Wake up for me, I had my alarm set at 4:45. What about you?
It must have been nice. Yeah, it was a 4 a.m. wake up for me.
Yeah. Well, and then you were duped.
Yeah, I was duped. Chaunce dropped it on me at the last minute that she had moved our Uber back 30 minutes.
Yeah.
A precious 30 minutes
Stealing
of sleep.
30 minutes.
On.
I know. The last 30 minutes are the most important minutes of sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chaunce literally didn't sleep
at all
the night before. Yeah, she pulled an all-nighter.
Yeah, I don't know how she did it, honestly. I don't know how she made it through the weekend, frankly.
Yeah. But she sounded like me at AT Trail Days in 2023, where the primary motive of going to Trail Days was just to catch up on sleep.
Yeah.
That was her hidden agenda.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, that woman can fall asleep anywhere. It was actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, that is one thing I'm very jealous of. Well, actually, this will parlay perfectly into today's question of the day, so we'll save the sleep talk for later. But yeah, let's do the PCT Trail Days recap. So on the flight, we do our interview, which you're about to hear. And then after the interview, we get to the pre-funk party. This was your first PCT Trail Days.
Yes, it was. My first PCT anything, honestly.
Yeah, you've never set foot on the PCT.
Never set foot out there, never seen it. When we were driving through and you pointed out Bridge of the Gods, I was like, what?
Yeah. So what was your take of Cascade Locks at large?
Oh, so gorgeous. And also, like, a bit of a different pace of life. I was talking about with the woman who was holding on to our stuff in Portland. But just the speed of life is different. People were actually going the speed limit, which I thought was interesting. Everybody was really kind, really quiet. It was a good time. I liked Cascade Locks. And
is that a shot at Denver, Ohio, AT Trail Days, or just U.S. in general?
I think U.S. in general. Honestly, Denver, frankly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit, y'all like to drive out here pretty fast,
yeah.
don't you?
Do you not experience that? So Jess is from Columbus originally. I just feel like... the bigger the city, the more aggressive the driving. I know Columbus isn't a huge city, but you're not too far from Cleveland. Is it not aggressive out there?
Cleveland is pretty chill. You got a lot of retirees out there in Cleveland.
All right.
No, not too bad. Yeah.
All right, back to PCT Trail Days. So pre-funk party, pretty subdued party. This might have actually been the drunkest night of the entire trip for me. I think mostly because I was drinking on an empty stomach. But I remember at one point I was trying to recite a story to Chaunce, and it was like trying to say the alphabet backwards all of a sudden, which was not a good thing. But the pre-funk party was cool. There was a limbo contest.
Yeah, the limbo contest was awesome. Obviously, Jabba was one of the
He
pole
emceed
holders.
it.
Yep.
I remember we were taking too long to pack up, and like you just ditched us to go dance at the limbo party.
Yeah, what am I gonna? There was a huge dance going on. What am I gonna book you down?
That was the appropriate reaction for sure.
Of course. I listen to you guys talk all day.
Yeah. No, it's too... I don't blame you. I can't believe you're here. We have a barf bucket behind your seat just in case. Okay, Friday is... Chaunce and I have a couple of interviews in the morning. You are solo womaning the booth.
Indeed.
We go up there to set up at 8 a.m. and are abruptly informed that the festival wouldn't open for a handful of hours.
A handful is a generous way to say it.
Yeah. This was... I'm just going off of the AT Trail Days playbook because this was the first time the Trek had a booth at PCT Trail Days, and we showed up at, was it 8?
8:30?
Yeah. which I know you were very ecstatic to be awake
So
that early in the morning.
So stoked.
It's funny to travel with people younger than you who don't do mornings, because I now all of a sudden feel even older. But yeah, we were the first ones to set up a booth down there on Friday morning, and shocked to learn that the festival wasn't actually opening till 12:30.
Yeah.
I just assumed it would be starting at 9, because that's what AT Trail Days is. And yeah, we learned that we had just gained a bunch of our morning back. Did you go back and go to sleep? No. What did you do?
I just got on the laptop and started doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Catching up on stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I actually, sitting down listening to you guys do the podcast, I had a live podcast in front of me, which was very productive for me.
There you go. That's free material right there. You got your own little Patreon experience.
Yeah, exactly.
But we had a couple of games on Friday, which I thought one was excellent. The other was, I don't think we'll be bringing it back. You can probably guess which is which.
Yeah, I think I can.
Yeah. Which one do you think is the excellent one?
I'm going to go ahead and say the rotisserie chicken eating contest was a hit.
Yeah.
Pretty gross. Egg toss, maybe not so much.
Walk me through why we did a rotisserie chicken eating contest, because up until 24 hours before, we did not know that this would be what was happening.
So the original plan, and I'd still like to do this in the future, but we were talking about doing a mashed potato eating contest, get like 2 family-sized things of mashed potatoes, cold, gross, and just force the hikers to down it, no water, no gravy. But when we walked into the Walmart, we turned around and saw the huge display of fresh, deliciously smelling rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
And Chaunce, who has a total of 40 minutes of sleep by this point, looks at the chickens and it's like, what if we just made them eat the chickens? And there was a big pause.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, we should definitely do that.
Is like if event planning and supermarket sweeps had a baby. Have you ever seen Supermarket Sweep?
Oh, yeah.
We literally walked in with a game plan and for 2 events, and we abandoned both things, just going around Walmart having a good old brainstorming session of the things that would be fun for hikers.
Yeah, it's actually a good thing that we didn't find the slip and slide, because weather ended up being beautiful.
Yeah. A dry slip and slide would not have been a very interesting experience, although I'm sure we would have gotten creative.
We find some baby oil.
Yeah. So the rotisserie chicken eating contest, on the surface, it sounds bad, but I assure you it was much worse than what it sounds like to you, the listener, because you picture a rotisserie chicken, you get it home from the grocery store, it's still hot and delicious. We get this the day before. They are sitting in the refrigerator for 24 hours. All of that fresh, hot grease had slid down to the bottom of the bag and just congealed around the base of the chicken.
Chicken jelly bathtub.
And we made it part of the eating contest rules that they had to eat the jelly.
They got creative with it, though. The winner ended up using the jelly grease, as a lubricant for the breast meat. It was actually pretty genius, but the operating word was dry. That's, I think, what most people were saying.
The other operating word is these birds were definitely fed hormones, because those were large chickens.
Huge. 2.4 pounds each?
Yeah, big chickens. I remember... shout out to Anna McKinney, who was helping out at the booth. We were taking our guesses as to how long this would take. She guessed 3 minutes, and I thought that was going to be too long. I don't even know what the final tally was, but it had to have been 10, 15 minutes.
I think 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Makes a ton of sense.
It took a really long time.
And even better was there was no background music, so it was just 6 strangers eating chicken at a normal pace while a bunch of people watched them.
Yeah, it was definitely an energetic crowd on an overcast Friday afternoon at the Trex booth while they suffered through 2.5 pounds of chicken each. Mm-hmm. But shout out to our winner. Who took that one?
Oh, gosh. I don't remember.
Shout out to our winner.
But did you think that I liked the toothbrush method with the chicken wing? I thought that was actually pretty effective.
Was he pushing chicken down his throat with the wing? I guess I missed that.
No. He was literally you know how a toothbrush works?
Yeah, occasionally.
That but chicken, on his teeth to get it off the bone. Rinse and repeat over and over again. And he had little chicken bits flying everywhere, hitting Chaunce, hitting the audience.
Yeah. And shout out to Chaunce. She was the administrator of punishment for that, making sure that every bone was sucked dry. There was no meat left on any of those bones.
No gloves for that job, by the way. She was willingly picking up those chicken bones.
Yeah. I think I'm learning I have a food phobia or something like that, because at AT Trail Days I was really put off by the people eating the peanut butter with their bare hands. And then like after this guy won, I wanted nothing more than to like go up and give him a hug or a high five or a pound or something like that, and I couldn't bring myself to be within 3 feet of him because I was so grossed out by all the chicken parts.
To be fair, he was greasy.
Very greasy, yeah.
Greasy.
No, that's what it took to win that competition. So literally from that event, I walked back to our Airbnb to grab our wipes to clean everything down. I'm turning into Howie Mandel for sure. But yeah, he walked away with a Gossamer Gear, the 2, and some LT5. So worth the effort of choking on a chicken. The next event was a good idea in theory.
Egg toss.
Egg toss.
That was a fun one. I liked it because, the stakes were pretty obvious. Like, if you missed the catch or you biffed it, you were going to get covered in yolk, which I thought was hilarious. The issue was that these were, again, some GMO-ass eggs. They were thick-shelled. So if they hit somebody, they just bounce off, and they weren't breaking in people's hands. People
were probably 30 yards apart at the end, and they would drop them, and the egg would just roll.
Yeah, exactly. So also the eggs were surviving like full on like batter's mound to pitcher's mound level throws.
Yeah. So a fun idea. I was hoping for a little bit more, as you said, just egg breaking in people's faces. A couple of the eggs broke, but for the most part,
we walked back with a full carton of eggs.
Yeah, those were eggshells of steel. So shout out to those chickens for winning bodybuilding competitions. I don't know what it takes to have.
Also, shout out to the other booths for being very patient with us while we took up the entire walkway.
We were definitely,
we learned our lesson on that one.
I've learned with these things, better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
We'll see if we get any feedback on that from the organizers, but I think people were having fun, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And was it the same prize for that one?
No, they won a couple of. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, they won something.
Yeah, it's from Gossamer Gear.
Yeah. And then I guess
it was two. It was 2 backpacks. Backpacks.
Sweet. We had 2 winners. Nice. And then I guess the ending event, which was not open to the public, but still something. Chaunce and I were looking very forward to, because fast forward to previous PCT Trail Days, obviously Chaunce and I went to do some interviews, but we did not get a booth there, and we were hanging out with all the vendors like late Friday afternoon, and all of a sudden people just started like leaving us en masse. I'm like, where are you guys going? They're like, we're going on the party barge. I'm like, oh sweet, I want to go on the party barge. And I learned that was for vendors only. So basically, like, everyone we were hanging out with was like, go get fucked. This year we got to be on the other end of that. We got to be the fuckers. We got to go in the party barge, which was, it lived up to the hype. I thought that was a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, the Booze Cruise really lived up to the Booze Cruise name.
Yeah. And when you walk on the Booze Cruise, you learn that it's not an open bar, cash bar. However, shout out to Thunder Island Brewing for providing, I think, 2 pony kegs of beer. Mm-hmm. There's 2 different bars. They had one at each bar. And I think once the word like really got out about not only there was some free beer and not that much free beer, the line for that became very intense. Is a large group of hikers, and if there's one thing that hikers like, it's saving money.
Yeah, I know for us, we got in line, got our first pints, and then went upstairs and got back in line. Yeah. Beers still in hand.
Yes.
We call that strategy.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, got her 2 free beers immediately. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It's always fun to get the brand side of things with a little bit of alcohol in their system, because I only see them in the more formal button-up capacity. And
for sure. Yeah, very, very corporate out here.
Yeah, totally. Super corporate outdoor world. But yeah, getting a little bit of booze in people was a good time. I saw one guy touch his fake eyeball. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was wild. Yeah. By the way, shout out to that guy's fake eye, because it wasn't until he pointed it out. I was talking to him for several minutes, and it wasn't until he pointed out that it was a fake eye. I'm like, oh shit, they're not moving. Like, one of them's not moving. Mm-hmm. The artwork on, I don't even know how you describe it, but like the eye color matched perfectly.
The craftsmanship
of that glass eye worked perfectly.
Yeah, for me, I was facing the other way, and I sort of overheard the glass eye conversation, and I turned around, and I said, did you guys just point at this guy's eye and be like, is that fake?
Yeah.
Glad he brought it up.
Yep. Yeah, we were not prying on that. That was literally his doing. But I also saw, someone was trying to jump over a bench.
Oh, yeah.
What was the story with that one?
Okay, so we were playing odds. You're familiar with odds?
Odds, yeah.
Yeah, what are the odds I'll do this? So the odds were, what are the odds I'll hurdle over that bench right there? And we're on the top deck of the boat at this point. And I guess the odds were good because, she was trying to hurdle over those benches multiple times. I think she needed multiple reps to get it done.
Yeah.
And again, formal networking event on the booze cruise, leaping over benches. That was pretty good. But, yeah.
And before getting on the party barge, apparently Jabba had run into some hiker on the PCT this year who has been making a name for consuming copious amounts of booze. He'd done like the 24 by 24 by 24 challenge, and I'm sure I'm going to botch this, but it was something to the extent of like eating 24 Big Macs. That specific is probably wrong. Drinking 24 beers over 24 miles in 24 hours, something like that.
Yes, that sounds about right to me. I saw that.
Yeah. So apparently this young hiker fella can put stuff down. Jabba ran into him, and I don't know exactly how it worked out, but Jabba went from seeming very normal to getting on the booze cruise being like the drunkest person on the boat by a lot. I don't know if any of the stories from that I can repeat on air, but
I don't think you can.
Yeah, just you know what drunk Jabba sounds like if you've listened to the live Wisconsin episode. It's a scene.
Yeah, definitely. I would say so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Upchuck might have been upchucked at a later point. Then Saturday, Chaunce and I were out butt crack o'clock early, so I'll learn right here how Saturday went.
Oh yeah, Saturday was great. That one started at a normal time. I think it was 8:30, and I was there until 6:30. So that was the long day of the festival. Tons of people coming through. That was the day that we did the big Saturday raffle, so that drew a huge crowd. I think we had like nearly 300 people or something like that signed up.
And very worthwhile. The raffle, in my mind, was going to be kind of an afterthought thing, just like hopefully we can get a few prizes. What do we get? 12, 15 brands contributing prizes?
Like 20. Yeah, it was crazy.
Z-Packs gave us a duplex. The prize package was insane. I think we had it was like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of gear.
Absolutely, yeah, very, very generous.
Yeah, so note to listeners, if you're headed to AT Trail Days, we're going to inject that energy for our raffle in 2026.
Yeah, and side note, I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not going to pull your card. Stop.
She likes her job more than she likes your $20.
I like my job.
She has to say that. So raffle was good.
Raffle was great. Yep, good energy. Jabba, again, emceed it. I think he was feeling a little weaker than he was the previous day, but he pulled it off together with our combined one brain cell. We made it happen.
And you weren't even hungover. You were feeling under the weather?
I think it might have been a combination.
Okay.
I think it might have been a combination of coming down with something and then not drinking water on Friday night. But yeah, it was. Jabba did have to bring me an element in my time of need.
That is a Trail Days rite of passage to learn the lesson of not drinking enough water.
For sure. Yeah.
I house incredible amounts of water at Trail Days because I've made that mistake multiple times. It's not a good feeling on Saturday or Sunday where you're just absolutely parched and you have to be on all day.
Yeah, what can I say? I was so locked in.
So locked in. Yeah. And then you also did some interviews with Trek bloggers. Is that correct?
Yes, we did. Big shout outs to Anna McKinney again for also helping with the Trek booth and then also being my guinea pig for a YouTube video. And then Emilio Gizzi helped us out as well. And then Pretzel, Cab Awesome was there too. So awesome to see all the bloggers. Thank you to you if you came up and said hello. And even bigger thank you to you if you were helping me with that with a video. But another shout out for AT Trail Days. If you want to be in YouTube videos, come say hello.
Yeah. Still deciding lots of details for AT Trail Days, but there will for sure be blogger content. Sweet. Any other notes or items that you want to hit on for PCT Trail Days?
Nothing to report.
Cool. Yeah. Overall, I just love PCT Trail Days so much.
I had such a blast.
Yeah. It's a great size from just a personal selfish standpoint. It's so much easier to get to than AT Trail Days.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, good vibes out there. Thanks to everyone who stopped by the Trek booth and said hello as well. And we'll be back next year for sure. Next reminder, I'll go through these quickly because we want to get to today's headline interview. Trek blogger applications are officially live. As of the listening of this, they opened up within the last few days. So if you're taking on a long distance trek in 2026 and want to be a part of this fun, the link to get on our team will be available in the show notes. And there's a lot of very cool incentives to being a trek blogger. The one that is probably most relevant to this podcast is pretty soon we're going to be announcing I don't want to say winner. What's the way to frame it? We're going to be flying out a guest for the podcast amongst the Trek bloggers. Jess and I have chatted on who that's going to be, and we're going to coordinate the details here soon. But we'll be doing this again in 2026, where we'll fly out and put up one Trek blogger to join us here on the podcast. Lastly, but not leastly, if you enjoy the show and you want to support us, you can do so. Patreon.com/backpackerradio. Lots of good reasons to get involved, but above all else, if you want to skip the ads, we run all of the episodes ad-free. Again, patreon.com/backpackerradio. Okay, let us get to today's interview with none other than the legend, Dan Durston. Dan Durston is the founder of Durston Gear, designing popular tents and other backcountry gear in the heart of the Canadian Rockies. Dan has built his own gear since far before starting his company, worked in gear development for several other UL companies, and is the gear nerd's gear nerd. Dan also puts his gear to the ultimate tests in his own outdoor adventures, from the PCT and the yo-yo of the GDT to the Stein Traverse Bob Marshall Wilderness Open, and developing a 150-kilometer high route extension of the GDT. Dan, thank you so much for rejoining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Yeah, great to be back.
Nice to do it in person, too.
Oh, This is my first podcast in person. That's great.
Is it?
Really?
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's nice to actually...
Yeah. You look the way you do in videos, so that's promising.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And it's been about 250 episodes since your episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were episode 82 for anyone who wants to go back and listen to the original.
So that was not even that far in for you guys. 82 and you're at 300 and some now?
I would say that was over a year, probably closer to 2, because we were doing once a month in the very beginning, and then we switched to once a week.
It was 2020. Yeah.
And so
Okay.
once a week, we only get 52 episodes a year.
Yeah. Speaking of your last appearance, so we're going to try not to cover much, if any, ground that we did on the last podcast.
Perfect.
If people want like your origin story, go back and listen
Yep.
to that episode.
Yes.
We'll include that in the show notes. But a lot has changed since you've been on the podcast. During COVID times, I was listening back, and at the time you were selling your gear on drop.
Yeah.
Things have evolved quite a bit. Like, you were definitely a very highly known gear personality. And what were you selling at the time? Like, was it just the X-Mid?
Yeah, we just had the X-Mid 1 and 2 person and maybe the first backpacks, but it was like right around then.
Yeah. Things have kind of exploded since then. You went from being like a very prominent personality to opening your own store, and now you've got the most popular tent according to the Trek surveys. You were the most represented tent in our most recent AT survey. I'm assuming probably also true on the PCT survey that Mac does.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I don't think you boiled it right down by brand, but like
You crunch the numbers.
it looks like it. It looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I don't even know where to start specifically, but walk me through that evolution, going from selling on an outside platform to starting your own store and becoming like a hit sensation in the world of thru hiking.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to know where it exploded.
Yeah, so my first podcast I did with you guys, that was my first podcast ever for like anyone.
We're popping all sorts of cherries here.
Yeah.
I was actually pretty nervous on that one. I'd never been on a podcast. You know, I was like, I don't know. They try to get you to say something scandalous or like,
course we
you know,
do.
what's your hot take on all your competitors or, you know,
Sweet.
whatever. So yeah, that first one was, I was nervous, but yeah, it was good conversation. That was at a very like turning point time, because back then my gear, like as the first episode would say, it started with a partnership with a U.S. company. They just sort of took a chance on a random guy, and then they brought it to market. And then when we had that podcast, they were just not sure what they were doing as a business. I had signed a 5-year contract with them. It was like, nobody else is offering me contracts to like make, you know, like if it's the only way to do it, then we're going to do it. So the X-Mid was under a 5-year contract to them. And then they were not sure if they wanted to be in the outdoor market at all. They were a weird company. They were into like a lot of different things. They restructured their whole business, got out of the outdoors. And for right about when we were talking, I was not even sure, even though everybody was stoked on the tents, if they were even going to make them. They were like selling all their stuff was like keyboards and computery stuff. So I think when we talked, I was not sure what was going to happen to my tents. I was like, these guys hopefully will keep making them, but they might just like sit on the rights to it and not care, or I might be able to like buy them out and I might be able to make it. The one thing I could do was make the pro version, the DCF version, because that was its own contract and they didn't bring it to market. So the contract was like, if you don't bring it to market in this time, it comes back to me. So I think that's kind of the main thing I was working on was the pro version, the DCF version, because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with everything else, but there's this one thing I can do that people are excited about. So I was working hard on the XMID Pro, which was the first product that I was actually doing myself. Everything else was like fun and low stress because you're not actually like sinking money into stuff and hoping that it works. With the XMID Pro, so it's the XMID Pro 2 is the first one. I actually like remortgaged the house. I was going to
Not just a saying, you literally
yeah.
Wow.
The original plan was, well, we'll just do a big pre-sale, we'll raise a bunch of money, and then everyone will be stoked and we'll sell everything. But then COVID happened and the lead times for the material went from like 6 months to like over a year. And I was like, I can't do a pre-sale where like imagine a pre-sale in maybe March where you don't get the tent for that summer. You barely get it for like the following summer.
Yeah.
It's like
You've
going to
missed
show
the
up.
window.
Yeah, it's just so depressing as a customer to like buy this thing and then everyone's going to slowly cancel over time as they move on to other stuff. So I remortgaged the house. We launched the XMID Pro. That's been super popular. It'll be popular here on the PCT. And then we also renegotiated all those contracts. It was the legal thing's kind of boring, but they ended up reassigning it to another company that was a good partner. Like it wasn't my choice, but they were a good partner. They fulfilled the orders for a couple of years. And then now, one of the key things that I couldn't stop it. Like they had all the rights, like legally it was like they get to do what they want, but I could ask for a few things. And one of the things was the brand. It was like, before that it was like the drop times Dan Durston tent. And sometimes I was in the big font, sometimes in the little font. And it ended up being like, okay, it's actually a Durston tent.
That would be a pretty shady move if they kept your name for the product. I mean, I guess to a certain component, I would understand that because like they've been selling it and making money off of it, but it's your fucking name.
Yeah. They were a little out of touch because they were like, they had laid off a bunch of staff. They just had like some corporate bigwigs. People wanted like kind of the Durston tent, but they were like, no, people want like a drop tent. And I'm like, I don't think they do, but like, yeah, so that the branding was good. I knew like if I do want to start a company that we need to like actually have a consistent name.
Yeah. So is the company that they sold the rights to, I saw that at least one product on your website is sold exclusively through them. Is that the company?
Yeah. And they're a good company, Caviso out of Ohio. They did a great job. Like, yeah, they did a good job fulfilling the rest of that contract. And then everything about a year and a half ago wrapped up, except for the one backpack. That's its own thing. There's a couple years left on that one. But everything else is wrapped up, and we're just like a normal company now that sells their own stuff.
Yeah. You had a crash course MBA just going through the process. Yeah. I'm not going to call them mistakes because I doubt you probably view them that way, but just like you learn how the market responds to various things by making certain choices, and like you've lived that life.
Yeah, you just do the best with what's in front of you, and there's some good things and some bad things, and you navigate through it.
How do you get past fear? Because I imagine remortgaging a house is not an easy decision to like take a risk on something. How do you get past that, like, what if this doesn't work kind of fear?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm like, in my heart, I'm this very rational person. So before we actually like do the scary thing, so in the beginning, I can be very rational. And I think this is how many people want one, and this is what we're going to do. And I think all the numbers work. And we go, yeah, we got this. And then you actually like order the material and you do it. Where it really got scary for me was when we were actually going to open orders, because we'd been building towards this for maybe 8 months. We had actually remortgaged the house. We had ordered the material. We had done all those things. And then it's time to actually put them on sale. And I think in the beginning, I was pretty calm and rational, but then, there's no checks and balances. You haven't sold anything. And then I remember the night before we put them on sale was pretty sleepless because I was like, am I crazy? We ended up having a few thousand tents made, and I was like, what if I'm like totally wrong? And then you start second guessing yourself when it's like crunch time like that. So the night before the launch, that was a sleepless night. I was just laying in bed like, am I crazy? Like, what if we only sell like 10% of what I think? Because if you think you're going to sell these in like a year, but it's actually like 10% of what you think, that's like you got 10 years of tents.
Yeah.
It's like the rest of my life is peddling this.
Yeah, at least if you lose the house, you've got tents to sleep in.
Yeah, you do.
You mentioned we a lot. Who's we?
My wife is like a big part of it too. So she works for us, and she was on the PCT with me. She's sort of the like person I like bounce stuff off of. I'm always stressing out, and she's pretty chill. So she just, yeah, it'll be good. She just trusts me, but I don't really totally trust myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Here's a question, because this frustrates me with my fiance, is like he's very much calm and rational about things, and I am just off the hinges.
Yeah.
And sometimes when he doesn't match my concern for certain situations, I'm like, can you just show some emotion about this, please? Like, can you just please pretend that you are also freaked out?
Yeah.
Is that happening to you?
I want her to like share the things that I'm worried about. So the night before, I'm like, oh, I think we're going to sell like 1,000, but what if it's like 100? And I want her to be like, no, like it's going to be the 1,000. But she's just like, I don't know. And she's like, okay. That doesn't
Maybe
really-
you won't.
Yeah.
It's good to have that calming presence. It levels
Yeah.
you out a little bit.
It's kind of my thing. I have to just stew on it. And I had nightmares of like, if you don't sell them and then like the rest of your life is peddling this. You know that there's that Will Smith movie where he's selling like some machine.
Yeah.
And I think he sunk his life savings into going door to
Pursuit
door.
of Happiness, is that
Yeah,
what it
that's
is?
what it is.
Yeah.
And he's going door to door, and all his life savings are in some useless machine that's getting outdated.
Yeah.
I kind of picture like that, where it's like the year 2030, Dan still got his first batch of tents.
And he sells one and then it gets stolen or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just always, so don't leave us hanging with the cliffhanger. You get a few thousand of these tents made. You're obviously incredibly anxious the night before the orders open. How does it go?
Yeah. So we launch it. We're on a terrible website because I'm just doing everything. We had a website. It was on WooCommerce, and clock's ticking down to the launch, and then it launches, and then the website just completely crashes.
Oh, man.
It's so overloaded with traffic that
That's a good reason for it to crash, at least. It's
Yeah.
not just like you put the 0 and the 1 in the wrong order.
it's good and it's terrifying because you're like, oh, these people are right there, and we're so close to doing the thing. And so it was overloaded. It would crash. And to actually buy something, there's a bunch of pages. Like you got to go to the product page, add it to your cart, all those things. So at first, it's every page crashes. And then after an hour, people start giving up. And then the website sort of works, and you could maybe click through like 2 pages, and then it would crash on the third one. One problem we had is that, so if any given page is maybe like a 50% chance it's going to crash for a couple hours. So people would press like the purchase button, and they don't know if they actually purchased it because they don't get to the next page that's like, we got your order. So people are ordering more than one because they really want one, and they don't know if they got one. So we had some people that somebody ordered like 12.
No.
Which is actually terrifying because, I mean, if you actually sold 12, that's great. But when somebody's like, hey, I ordered 12 and I want to cancel 11 of them, you actually don't get credit card fees back.
Yeah.
And credit card fees
Yeah.
are like 3%. So you're like, you actually lost money.
Right.
You're like glad they ordered one.
That's your
but
entire margin right there.
yeah, you lost money on that tent and you're just like, great. So I think we actually lost about $20,000 in credit card fees from duplicate orders on the launch. Which was like a real thing. I remember talking to the credit card people, and they were like, "No, just tough luck, basically."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And then the other crazy thing was you do all these credit card transactions, and you need to get paid the money because you have to pay all your bills. And so then, like a day or two later, I get an email from the credit card company, and they're like, this is too suspicious. We're freezing the money. And you're like, oh no, like, cause we need to
My house.
we've ordered some of the materials and stuff, but it's going to work, but we need you to trust us to give us the money so we can finish the tents, so we can deliver them. Like, this is part of the process. And so they sent us this letter, and they were like, you need to prove that you're on the up and up. And so I start writing this big email about how we're so wonderful and passionate and integrity and
Here's
all this.
everything I
We're
know
gonna do
about
this.
tents.
Yeah. Have you heard of backpackinglight.com?
Yeah. So I wrote this big thing, and then I had a week to submit it, but you get paid out your credit cards with a 3-day lag. So I was still polishing this perfect letter, and then somehow they actually sent the payment, even though I never had actually replied. It was they paid us, so we're not bankrupt. Perfect.
It's a good start.
Yes.
Have you since gone back to read that letter just to have a little laugh?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was such a stressful time. And you're hinging on these things that shouldn't really matter. the credit card company, like the thing should hinge on like how good of a product it is,
Yeah.
or do people want it? Not like, is some company going to complete a transaction or something?
Something in a million years you
Yeah.
couldn't foresee happening
Yeah.
in the process of
Yeah.
having all your products go on sale.
Well, I feel like
Yeah.
we see so many small companies that open that, like with food, we've seen it a lot for backpacking meals, or for ultralight gear, we've seen it a lot. And I think so many people like have a passion in making gear or making foods and dehydrating and doing all that stuff. But I think that it's hard to, unless you are really familiar with stuff, predict that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's really scary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard to predict. It's so scary. You just put it out there and you're just along for the ride a lot of the time.
So, all right, you open your store, you start selling it yourself. At that time, you said that your wife was helping you out. Is it just the two of you that are doing everything?
It was at the time. It was the two of us doing everything. I still had a full-time job.
Okay. Remind me what your job was.
My background's in biology. I did almost 10 years of school for that, 2 undergrads and a master's, and then started my career as a biologist right about when the tent started in 2018. Because I had just done another through hike. I did a through hike after the undergrad, then did the master's, did another through hike, and then I was like, okay, now we have to get a real job. And it was at that same time that this U.S. company had reached out and wanted to make some gear. So the gear was just a little like fun side thing. And it still was like when we had our last podcast, and I was working that till 2022. So about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Did you ever have internal conflict about following the traditional career path versus following your passion?
I naturally am not going to, I'm so conflicted with risk because I buy penny stocks and I'm like gambling and like buying options, and like in some ways I'm so risky, and like on the trail too, it's like, yeah, we'll like scramble up this sketchy thing. Some ways I'm very comfortable with risk, but for business, I'd rather not. So I would have never started the business if this U.S. company didn't kickstart it and take the first financial risk and get it to the point where like the ball was rolling enough that it's still scary, but you're managing a rolling ball instead of trying to get a ball rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so 2022 is when you decided to leave your job. What was the sign that you knew, like, all right, I have to dive into this full time?
Yeah, I was working from home before it was cool, and during the end, it was so awkward because you're trying to, like, I really want to do a good job for my employer, but I'm also drowning in customer emails from like the tents, and you're sort of awkwardly moonlighting, and so you're only half working when you're working from home for this other job. So then I have to work till like 10 o'clock at night to like get both of the jobs done. So I was working basically 2 full-time jobs just in this mix, and it would just get more and more and more. And I had in my mind, it was kind of getting the Pro 2 tents, the first ones that we did on our own, actually going, where it's, because before that it was all licensed to the U.S. company, and I got a royalty on them, and they were popular, but we weren't actually making like a lot of money, like to pay a salary or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm always going to be a little bit cautious on that. I'm not going to start like quit my job that I went to school for 10 years to do something that I make like 10 grand a year doing.
Yeah.
So that was the point, is both financially it started to work after we actually got our own tents, and from a time perspective, it was just unmanageable to have 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah. So you mentioned customer emails. One thing that I think you're also notorious for is you are the most hands-on when it comes to communicating with your customers and fans, and really anyone who mentions Durston anything. Mm-hmm. Like I checked every Reddit page that mentioned Durston, and you're always there. You always leave very thoughtful comments, and you do that on the gear reviews on the Trek as well. I'm sure you do that with everyone that reviews your stuff. What is it about that is so important to you?
Yeah, I think it's 2 things. First of all, I'm just a passionate guy. I love the thing. I'm passionate. The other side of it is that I feel a responsibility to our customers to support them. So if somebody has our gear and they're having a hard time pitching it, or something broke, or whatever it may be, I just feel like I gotta help them out. And so that's a hard thing to have boundaries with, because I feel the more and more we sell gear, everybody's using it, but then you're like out for a nice dinner with your wife or something, and then it's like ding on your phone, and somebody's like, my zipper broke and you've ruined my whole hike. You're like, from a brand perspective, of course, you don't want to leave like upset people around, but you also just want to help them have a good experience. So you end up having pretty murky boundaries on things and just being accessible, because I do want to help people and I'm passionate about the gear. And so for a long time, I answered every email. I still answer a lot of email. It's more than I can answer now. So,
do all emails come through you and you delegate based on like the level of complication, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're a weird company because we don't have any peers. Like, we do have like peers in like the commercial landscape, but we aren't really connected to other companies to learn from. We're just up there in Canada doing our own thing. Like, when we have a problem, we're like, I don't know what to do, but we'll just we figure stuff out.
Better go pond skate.
So for a long time, it was just Gmail, just giant inbox. Eventually, we're on like a support software now where it all comes into inbox. The huge thing there is you can have saved answers. Like, people will ask us, obviously we get the same questions over and over.
Sure.
Like, how do I pitch my tent, or should I get which version, and all that kind of stuff. So we can actually have saved answers. For like a year, you would get like the same question and you'd know you'd answered it. And you wrote like condensation. Somebody's like, I got condensation. And then you write them a whole thing about how humidity and temperature works and moisture gradients. And you write this essay. And then the next day, somebody's like, I got condensation. And you're like, oh, am I going to write this like essay again? Or am I going to like search my outbox to find it, which you can maybe find it, but it's going to take you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the nice thing, is just having some saved answers. And so I do, right now in the email, I do the hard stuff. We have a few people that answer email. They'll do easy stuff like, where's my package, when's it shipped, change my order, that kind of stuff. I want to return something. And then my wife does sort of the pretty hard emails. Somebody, they're all upset because they got condensation or something, or something broke. Sometimes it's our fault. And then if it's like a really spicy email or just really technical, then it gets sent to me.
Do you have an example, anonymously, of one of the spiciest emails you've ever gotten?
Oh, we get some pretty spicy emails. There's a lot. And I want to preface this by saying we have so many amazing customers, and we love them all. But
what about the ones you hate?
There's a few bad apples, but like 99% of people are amazing. There's some where people just really struggle to be reasonable. So I'll give you an example. Somebody emailed us this week, brand new tent. They pitched it too close to a fire and got a bunch of sparkles in the roof. They email us and they're 100% sure it's not their fault, because they say they pitched it for safe distance from the fire, but it still got sparkles, so then it's our fault. I'm like, well, you obviously didn't pitch it far enough from the fire because you got
ember
sparkles.
lands on your tent. It's too
like,
close to the fire.
Yeah, so then they're all like, oh, we're so disappointed in this tent. Like, we expected better quality. And you're just like, you just got a sparkle. Like, it's one little patch of DCF tape, but now you're criticizing our quality and you want to return it, and you've lost all faith in us as a company. And you're just like, don't you see that it's just an unlucky accident with a spark, and it doesn't have to be this drama.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many times where, like, if I'm looking for a restaurant and it's 4.6 stars, like, obviously it's saying it's a very good restaurant, and then you go to the reviews that are 1 stars, it's always the most, not always, but oftentimes the most inane stuff.
Yep.
Like, they showed up for their reservation late and they wouldn't seat them even though they were 30 minutes late, and then they leave a 1-star review based on that. Like, things where they obviously fucked up. We have fallen victim to that. And like we sell very little product compared to what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah, even in the Trek store, one person left a 1-star review because a sticker that they purchased was smaller than they were expecting. Even though it says very clearly like the size of the sticker is
there's just a few people like that, but it really like takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to keep going through the evolution of you going from a niche thing on drop, a personality, to like a full-fledged through hiking mega store. Is that an accurate way to represent it?
I don't know. I still feel like really small, but yeah.
I feel like you have a cult following. Like, you have like people that like praise Durston.
We have amazing supporters. We do. Some of them we have people that get tattoos. We've had
Really? What's the best tattoo?
I don't want to make my supporters sound like psychos because they're amazing. I think I've seen about 4 Durston tattoos. The ones I like best are not the logo. I just think it's like a bit much to get any brand's logo. I'm flattered that you feel that strongly, but like I probably wouldn't get like any brand as a logo. But the ones I like, we had like some guy had one of our tents, and he was on like a camping trip with a buddy that I think like passed away or something, and it was like they had gone camping with our tent, and I was like, okay, it's a beautiful scene, it's a beautiful story.
That's sentiment.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
To Chaunce's question, why do you think you have developed such a cult following? Because like obviously there are people who like various gear brands, but like you're in a different category with like the way that people feel about Patagonia or maybe like Cotopaxi. Like you've got that level of fandom. Why do you think that is?
I still don't totally understand it, because I feel just like a normal guy that likes to talk about gear. We were talking about this with one of my employees on the way over. We're just like people, like there's some people that are so cool, and or somebody's like good looking or well spoken or funny, and I'm like, of all the reasons to like somebody or to be passionate with them, I'm like, I feel like just sort of being giant nerds about gear is like pretty far down the list for like why people have like get passionate about something. So I don't totally know. One of the things though is that our existence has always been in the fairly recent history. Even brands that kind of seem like kind of new companies, like Gossamer Gear, Z-Packs, like kind of modern companies, but they have been around for like 20 years, so they did predate kind of online sort of, we're gonna like debate something to death and hate each other and like make a fails video on YouTube and like all the TikTokification of everything. And of course, like major brands like MSR and Big Agnes have been established for decades. So all of those companies have like an established reputation. For some reason, we're newer, and it feels like we landed right in this online environment where this online arena where it's just so much discussion is going on. As a company, of course, you want to be in the conversation, and there's a lot of good things about it, like you getting the word about your company, but there's also a lot of drama with it that sort of never stops. It's people love it, they hate it, there's all this kind of stuff. So I think it's a good product, but I think it's more than that. I think it's people really like how they can tell how passionate I am about the tents, and they see this guy is always explaining his stuff. He's always helping people. I think that resonates with people because it's not a very few other brands have the face of the company like out there, sort of, I don't know, in the battlefield. I mean, it's kind of a negative framing, but like I'm there to answer everybody's question and that. And I think some people love it and some people find it annoying. They're like, this guy's everywhere. Like, this is annoying.
Yeah. I think that's a really astute observation because, another brand that had a lot of cachet, it was like Palante, and like obviously tied very closely to the figures who were behind that.
Yeah.
And I think the brands that have the big personalities and clear personalities that are driving the product innovation definitely tend to have a much stronger bond to the brands. Right. Like with some of the other cottage industry brands, like you have to really be in the know to know that like Ron Bell is behind MLD or Glenn Van Pesky at Gossamer Gear.
Because the name's not in the name.
Exactly. Having Durston Gear definitely helps a lot.
If I'm buying a Durston tent and I get a reply from someone who's a Durston, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've never spoken to Agnes from Big Agnes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's just with it comes so much responsibility and so much like lack of boundaries because your name's on the product.
Sure.
So if somebody's here at PCT Days and their tent's broken, I gotta go. Like I want to help them, but I also like kind of gotta help them because I don't want them to be like angry at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that you are more involved in everything because your name is in the name than you would be if you were like Pine Twigs or like a just like a name that's
That's a good brand. Yeah.
Copyrighted.
Like a tea company or something.
That's hilarious.
I think so. I think when your name's on the company, you just feel like a personal sense of connection and commitment where, if people are like, if the gear's not working and it's letting people down, like I feel a very personal responsibility for that.
Yeah. So do we change the Trek to Zach Hikes or do I legally change my name to the Trek?
Should be the Zach.
The Zach. So to the question of like maintaining the fandom that you have associated with your brand, How do you balance that while also wanting to scale at the same time? Because you have to be very thoughtful in how you do that. Because if you get too big too quick, like, you can disrupt what people love. Because the way you're describing it is what people love about your company is how passionate and how hands-on you are. The bigger you get, obviously that part is not going to scale as well.
Yeah.
So how do you envision the future of the company, trying to keep that in mind?
Yeah, that is a hard question. That's something that I feel like, because we are just figuring everything out, we're always sort of reacting and not doing it as proactively as we should. What I think, so originally I did 100% of things, and then you start dropping the things that are the least beneficial. So that's one-on-one email. If I write an essay for somebody and one person on the email, I spent 15 minutes on it and one person probably skim read it. Whereas if I share that same information on Facebook or Reddit or something like that, then it's more. And if I make a YouTube video that gets 100,000 views, those take a lot longer. But still, for my time, I spend 40 hours on a video, and 4,000 hours of watch time happens. It's a lot better use of my time. So what sort of makes sense, I think, is to provide that help and tell that story and benefit our customers, like empower our customers with knowledge to have using the gear well, not through one-on-one email, but through communications that are a bit more scalable. We're hardly doing this. Like I do everything. We don't have any marketing staff. I just do the Instagram. I make the website. I do the product photos.
When do you sleep?
I sleep sort of normal, like 11 to 7, but I usually wake up at like 3 and like do like an hour of email. I just sort of wake up because I wake up in the night and I'm like, oh crap, like what if this person's still having that problem? I need to check on that. And then I check and they've emailed me back with we need to get somebody a tent pole, and like right now on the way here, somebody in France needs like a new tent pole. And I got to get it out today or it's not going to make it for their hike.
Yeah. Are you concerned about burnout? Every great startup has like the initial phase where I think you have to do what you're doing, but I don't think that's sustainable over the long term. Do you have an off ramp to be like, there's got to come a point where I'm not up at 3 a.m. answering customer emails?
I want an off, like not in a negative sense of like I want to get out, but like I would love to find like something that feels more sustainable. What I thought it was going to be ended up not being. So what I thought was, okay, we're a one product company. Everything hangs on this one product. Once we just get a few more things, like we have some backpacks, trekking poles, then like we've established our brand a little more. We got a bunch of products. Everything's not hanging on sort of one problem. Then we can chill out a little bit and just sort of not have to be at like 24/7.
Yeah.
It hasn't really worked though. I feel like it just only gets busier. I'm like, my personality is a grinder. It's like, okay, another cup of coffee and get back at it. So I don't like feel burnout, but certainly it's a ton of work. I still enjoy it. Like I know some people get like burnt out and they get grumpy and all that kind of stuff. I still love talking to people. I wish I could answer everyone's emails. I do still answer a lot, like hundreds per week. And I still do it and I still love it. But just from a family perspective, it is a lot of time and I would love to. I mean, like anybody, find a better work-life balance.
Yeah.
Is there a way, though, for you to, like, decrease the amount of interactions you have, like, non-email-y, like, on Reddit and these other platforms? Because I feel like whether or not the company's big, you just love, like, getting in those gear threads and talking to people and doing that. I feel like even if it wasn't company-related, you would still do that.
Yeah.
So how do you separate what is my hobby versus what is setting boundaries at work?
Yeah, I kind of divide those into, there's two different types of conversations I enjoy. One is just gear talk and like, let's nerd out about the latest fabric and let's do this. I enjoy that. It's fun. And it's not too dramatic. Like nobody's needing an answer. It's just, you can be involved because you want to be. I can go for a hike for 5 days, come back, check in on the conversation. It's fun. The other thing is people having problems. So somebody yesterday was on the John Muir Trail and they tore some teeth off the zipper and they're on Reddit and they got to warn everybody about our tent. And it's the same zippers as every other tent, but they had a bad experience and they don't quite understand that some accident would have happened there. So I feel a burden because I care about them and their hike and I want them to have a good experience, and I care about the product, where I don't want everybody thinking that we use bad zippers and things like that. So that's the captive thing that's hard. And I don't know. I think most other brands just sort of stop, and it's fine. I guess it's just hard letting go.
Yeah.
It's probably just I really care a lot, and it's hard to let go. But most brands just find a way to let go some and just sort of do what they can, and that level of support is just not something you can always keep up for forever.
Are you a control freak?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of that vibe.
It's probably a necessary quality to do what you do, right?
Yeah, it's my baby. Like I love the tent. It's fun. I'm passionate. Like when you make something, I think about it for years before you even start making something. Like I would like to do a sleeping bag. I've been thinking about sleeping bag for like 5 years maybe. And I finally have some ideas where I'm like, that's going to be cool. I think. I don't know if it's going to work, but I think it's going to be cool.
Can you give us a hint?
Well, so every sleeping bag right now is a bag of insulation. So you got to choose your shell fabric, choose your insulation. There you go. You know, how much, you choose your colors, and there's a bunch of variables within that, but they're all just bags of insulation. And insulation is, of course, good, but with heat, with what you're trying to do with a sleeping bag is keeping heat. And heat loss is a really complicated thing through like radiation and convection and conduction and emissivity of the fabrics. And
I've never heard that word
Such
in
a
my life.
biologist.
Yeah. So there's like, it's not just this like really simple, like we just need to insulate this thing. Like you do, but that's a very simplification of what you're trying to do. So when you break down heat loss into all its different forms and you start thinking about different technologies that can do things like a thermos, you would never have a sleeping bag that's a vacuum, but like a thermos is amazing for heat retention because it actually creates a vacuum. A giant sleeping bag vacuum you need a hard container, so it'd be like this giant Stanley thermos you're sleeping in. It wouldn't be practical, but a vacuum technology is something that's really interesting. So I'm just thinking on the fly, but you could actually make like fibers that maybe they're not a vacuum because you need like actually to hold negative pressure, but you could put like a gas in there that's a lower density than air inside of fiber, and there's actually conducts less heat maybe. So that's not the actual idea, but I'm just like, there's like a million things you can do with different technologies for different types of insulation, for actually stopping air movement, for stopping radiation. And there's about like 12 things you could maybe do. And I'm hoping if like one or two of them actually work.
Are there any brands, in your opinion, that are even scratching the surface? Because, I mean, I think to your original point, there's nothing like overly innovative happening in the quilt or sleeping bag space other than just like the shape of it and the fill power loft, all that stuff. Is there anything happening that is in the realm of what you're contemplating?
There's one thing in the realm, Rab, mostly out of Europe. They make a sleeping bag. It's like a basic, one of the 12 is a reflective lining. And you see Thermarest doing that with the Neo Air. That's tricky because it's actually the air pressure holds it, and you wouldn't have that. But anyways, you can do reflective barriers. Columbia does those, like the Omni Heat, I think they call it, in jackets. And Rab does do a sleeping bag with a sort of reflective dots. It's tricky because you need to let it breathe, so you can't just put like a space blanket across it.
That's what I was going to ask, is at what point, when you were talking about the Stanley Cup shell, at what point do you then go the opposite direction where now you have the problem of people are sweating and it's not getting aired out and now you're just wet in it?
Yeah, you absolutely. So a lot of these technologies run into problems with breathing. Because you could sort of make a sleeping bag that's like a sleeping pad. You could make a Thermarest Neo Air that's curved across the top, but it would be very clammy in there because people, of course, need to breathe. So that is a real constraint on a lot of the things, and whatever you do, you'd have to really keep that in mind. Same with Dyneema fabrics, like great fabrics. They're super light, but they're plastics, they're not breathable. So if you use those for your shell fabrics, you just really kill all the breathability. There was some, and they used like a little strip of reflective fabric, but you're down to maybe a quarter of normal, and they probably still get a little stuffy. So that's definitely one of the things that you're up against with a lot of these new technologies, trying to put them in there.
I know I told listeners to go back and listen to the last episode to get like the primer on stuff. And I think this will actually cover some new ground too. But can you just give us the quick bullet points on how your products are innovative versus what was being released previously? You don't have to, maybe don't go through everything. I know because you're so passionate, you'll probably find the rabbit holes. But let's just start like with the X-Mid. Like the shape of the tent was a novel concept, and frankly, the fabric was not, I think, the popular fabric at the time either. Yeah. So walk us through that.
Yeah, we call it first principles philosophy, first principles design, and that's just really trying to think. It sounds more formal than it is. It's just like really trying to think things through from the basics. So most trekking pole tents are probably based, most tents in general are based around hexagons. And one thing I had noticed I really liked was pyramids because they're based around a rectangle and everything's simpler. And I thought especially for trekking pole tents, simplicity is what you need because when you're tired, you just don't want to be goofing around. It's kind of fun for the nerds like me to figure out these more complicated things, but when you're just tired at the end of the day, you want it to just work. So I was pretty set on the rectangle, and then I was also pretty set on trying to get more headroom in the shelter. The pyramids are great. I love how simple they are, but there's just one high point. The pole's there. You can't sit there. So that was the basic problem I was trying to solve, was like, how do I get the simplicity of a rectangle but more headroom? When I hiked the PCT 2014, I was daydreaming about this and thinking about solutions that weren't that elegant, like struts or hoops or a whole bunch of guy lines, and they all created solved some things, created some new problems. It wasn't clear improvements. And then 3 years later on the Great Divide Trail, I got a lot more focused. I call this parameterizing the search, which really just means that if you're open to every possible solution, then you're just sort of in this sea of possibilities and it's overwhelming. So okay, I'll resist the rabbit trail.
No, dude, don't go down it.
This is fun, yeah.
Take us down
Okay,
it.
so if you take a problem that you have, like a lighter, like they get wet and they don't work. So if you say, that's my problem, I need a lighter that works more reliably. If you're just open to every possible solution, then you're open to like, well, let's like make an electric powered lighter or a lighter that you could pump up to have more pressure so that in the cold it could still have pressure in the cold, or a heated little thing so that when the filament's wet, it dries itself. There's all sorts of bad ideas. I might call them post hoc or ad hoc, sort of add-on type things. Tons of complexity you could bring into that. But if you really think about the problem, this lighter, you might be able to parameterize it by saying, I'm fundamentally against anything electrical because I just don't think that something simple should turn into like another power device. So we're eliminating any sort of heating elements or fans or anything like that. And then you might also say that I'm against like pressurizing it because I think that's just too complicated. It's going to break or something like that. And whatever solution I have has to have no more parts than exist right now. So you start to think about these things and you try to set parameters where you're like, I'm close to this, I'm close to that. And then you end up, well, what's left? And then you might start to think of more elegant solutions, like maybe there's a way to design a flint that still works when it's like wet, or maybe the wheel becomes the flint, or like, I don't know, but you start to think about more elegant solutions because actually complicated solutions tend to be the easy and obvious ones because it's just, well, let's just add this thing on to solve the problem. And same with like pressurizing it. One person might say, let's make a fan and like pump up the pressure to work in the cold, and somebody else might say, well, actually this different gas we can put in there just has a much flatter relationship with temperature. So in propane, it gets way less pressure as you drop 10 degrees, whereas maybe like butane only drops half as much pressure, and so it's only going to be half as affected. I don't know if that's true, I'm just spitballing, but like you could look at gases and you might end up realizing that, all we had to do was switch the butane to like octane or something, and then now the problem's solved. So I parameterized the search that way. And for the tents, so it was like guy lines are out, hoops and struts are out. I realized that I have 2 trekking poles. Right now I'm using one. Any solution that's going to ultimately be an elegant one is using this second trekking pole that I have. So that was where I finally parameterized the search down enough that I could not just be overwhelmed with possibilities, but when you know it's a rectangle and you know there's 2 poles, there's not actually that many ways to do it. And once you get at that focus on your parameters, and you're like, well, the only way to really do this is if they're on an angle, I sleep on the other angle. It's kind of the only way to do it, because if I put them near the edge, there's got to be guy lines, and those are I cut those off with the parameters. So yeah, that was the X-Mid.
I feel like, I know it's a gear company, but like when you think of a gear company, you think of a company that makes gear, right? I feel like you're more of an inventor. Because like you're not a gear company that just makes something that's already there. Like you're looking for all this crazy shit until something like new pops up.
Yeah, I'm really excited about stuff that's new. Way more than just making stuff. For example, we sell trekking pole tents. We sell tons of them. It would be awesome to sell trekking poles because everybody wants to add them to their tent. And we do sell them now. But we didn't sell them for about 5 years because I didn't want to just make a decent trekking pole. I went hiking and thought about trekking poles and ended up finally coming up with something where I'm like, okay, that's actually like cool and better.
Can you walk us through how you parameterized that?
Yeah, so
Let me get a diagram here.
seltzer's going down the wrong pipe.
He barfs out like a list. He's like, well, here's where I started.
Yeah, so I was starting to think about trekking poles, parameterizing them, and one of the big questions is how many sections are in a trekking pole. There's like 1, 2, 3, and there's some with 4. And it's not that, like, when you actually do it intentionally like this, the trade-offs are pretty obvious. Like a one section pole, it's a big long thing, it's hard to pack, you can't put it on a plane, but it is going to be the lightest. And the 4 sections at the other end of the spectrum. And then I realized that 2 sections is nice because now you can have an adjustable pole, which you can't do with 1, but 2 sections still is kind of awkward to fit on your backpack. It's probably sticking up. I do a lot of bushwhacking. So for at least you could do 2. I'm not like totally opposed to 2. But 3 is really where you get into the good stuff because then it can fit inside your backpack. So I was like, I down with 3 sections. That's also like not a radical thing because like 90% of poles are 3 sections. It's like, like good job, good job, I
guys did it.
Good idea, Dan.
I'm gonna make a car with 4 wheels. Wow, you are so smart. So I landed on 3 sections, of course, and then 4 is just diminishing returns. Nobody really needs 4. It's a lot of complexity. Some runners like it, so it packs short. The one thing I did start to think about, though, is the number of adjusters. So all 3-section pole, not all, but almost all 3-section poles have 2 adjusters. It's 2 telescoping connections. They could be twist lock or flick lock. But basically, it's this, anytime you have a joint, you have an adjuster. And there's that, like, almost all joints have an adjuster. It's not 100%. There's some running poles that do folding connections. So it's not 100%. But what I came to realize is that I wanted 3 sections, but I only wanted 1 adjuster because that's all you need to have the range of adjustment that you need. So I only want 1 adjuster because just having 1 is going to be simpler, lighter, more reliable than having 2. I know like everybody gets confused how when there's the length markers at both adjusters, you think you put it to like 120 because you set one to 120, but it's not because the other one's at 110. So the pole's actually 115.
I watched the product video earlier today, and that was the thing that stood out to me. Is like now I have to memorize twice as much information about like the correct height for my pole. Yeah. Simplifying it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, so that was really the big idea was, yes, 3 sections, but 1 adjuster. And then what we do with the other joint is we use basically a quick connect. It just sort of clicks in, and it's a positive connection in the sense that the 2 parts butt together. They can't possibly slip because they're butting together. And the quick connect is only preventing it from falling out. So it's not actually being loaded. Like the trigger is just preventing it from dropping. It's not being loaded as you weight the pole. It's just metal parts fitting together basically with some O-rings so it doesn't rattle.
Is this like when you have a pool skimmer and you're adjusting the length of the pool skimmer, how there's those 2 metal things that you like push in and then you can slide it and they pop back out of 2 other holes?
It's not like that.
That's what my brain thinks.
It's not like a pin system. It's like a ball and socket. Like a ball fits into a socket, and then there is sort of a pin, but with a pin system like that, the pin is actually weighted where if you like jammed your pool skimmer into something, you could potentially bend or shear the pins. Whereas this is the 2 metal parts fitting in a ball and a socket, and the pin is just in sort of the neck so that it doesn't drop out. So it's not weighted by the impact.
So are you pulling the neck open when you pull it out, or are you twisting it to get it to detach from the neck?
It is a little bit of metal that is spring-loaded to pop into the neck so it can't drop out, just sort of like this. And then you push a button, and the button actually retracts it, and then you can drop it out.
Smart.
So you can release it, but no matter how, until you physically shatter the thing, you won't break the pin with weight. So that was the thing with trekking poles. Is a 3-section, 2 adjusters, simplify the whole thing. Still, we don't always get things perfectly. We had some early teething issues with that, but they're pretty dialed in now.
Yeah. I remember, shout out to Alex GPS, who tested the original version of the trekking poles. I think he wrote like a 3,000 word review on trekking poles. Chaunce and I were laughing about that earlier. Like, if you paid me $1 million to say 3,000 words about just trekking poles in general, I don't know if I could come up with it. So his level of gear obsession is, you probably can relate to that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We love people like that.
Yeah. A quick interlude here. This has been rattling around my brain. I want to give a shout out to Gossamer Gear. They've been a longtime supporter of this podcast.
We love them.
You're the first gear person that we've had on this podcast twice, and I don't know if there's any conflict there. So this question is, can you say something nice about Gossamer Gear?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was like, when we did the first podcast, I was expecting questions like this, but like say something like, what's the worst thing about guys?
Can you bash our sponsors?
Yeah, so I think Gossamer Gear is awesome. I used Gossamer Gear LT5, well, they've changed the names a bunch. When I did the PCT, it was the LT3 poles. Love those things. Like, those poles are really what turned me on to how amazing a lightweight trekking pole is. I was using Black Diamond Alpine carbon corks that are about 8 ounces a pole. I used the Gossamer Gear LT3. Oh, they were LT4s. They changed the generations. But anyways, using the Gossamer Gear poles, the weight on them was amazing. I used those for, I think, some of my Bob Open hikes. Used one of the PCT. And it's amazing. Like, those guys are at the forefront of making a crazy light pole. And yeah, it opened the door for me for how awesome light poles are.
Thank you. Just one more quick thing before we move on from trekking poles. Can you sell me on ultralight trekking poles? Because I understand the philosophy of less weight means you're more efficient. Mm-hmm. You can do bigger miles. However, at the end of a long day of backpacking, never once in my life have I thought, man, my arms are tired. So like, I've just never been motivated. I use Leckies. I couldn't even tell you. They're not carbon.
Tragic.
But, yeah. But they're like old school trekking poles, and I've never once thought to upgrade or update them.
Yep.
Just pitch me on ultralight poles in general, because that's one thing I've had trouble being inspired to upgrade.
So I think the best way to be sold on ultralight trekking poles is to use them, because when you use them for even like a day, all of a sudden your old poles feel clumsy. So I was using the Gossamer Gear poles and Black Diamond carbon corks, but I used the Gossamer Gears for like the whole PCT, and then I think I had lost them or something, and then I ended up, it was crazy. I bought another pair of the Black Diamond Alpine carbon corks, did one hike with them, and was like, these things are just like clumsy. Like, I actually feel less agile on the trail. They're like less flickable. Like when you're planting a pole and you gotta like, it's nerdery for sure. But when you're planting the pole, when it's so light and flickable, if it's landing on a rock, you can just like adjust that, and it feels so agile, and it's just more enjoyable to use. Where when you go back, they feel heavy and clumsy.
Yeah. Okay. I think eventually I'm going to just have to break down and give it a shot, because a lot of backpackers like that I respect and know all use ultralight poles, and I just never have felt the edge. So I think I'm just going to like dive in.
You've never just like been on trail walking and it's kind of mundane and you don't need them to help you walk, and you're just holding them and you're like, the fuck are these in my hand for?
Do you use ultralight poles?
I've used the LT5s.
Okay.
I've liked
yeah,
those.
it's amazing.
And then I've also used the REI Carbon Light Women as the flashlight.
Okay, those are pretty light, I think, right?
Yeah, they're really light. I had done a bunch before the PCT of like comparing gear and comparing grams and all that stuff. Like, I'm 5'1", I don't have a lot of weight, and when you feel it on your back, you really feel it, especially if you have less size under you. And so I did a bunch of that going into the PCT, and then I kind of got less into it the more confident I got backpacking, because then I'm more comfortable with the weight I'm carrying. But yeah, I loved them, and I loved the REI ones, and I don't have a heavy pole to compare it to, but I've had times where like you're holding the poles all day and you're walking and you look at your hands and they're just swollen, or I've had times where it's easy trail and I don't want to carry them and I hold them in my hand, and then I'm like, why am I holding this? So I'll tuck them into my belt strap. But I like when I don't feel them that much, because then I don't get to that place where I don't need them and I'm just sitting there thinking, where can I tuck these so that I'm not walking swinging them?
Yeah, I love them. I'm so addicted to the ultralight poles that I use them even when it's completely inappropriate. Like ski touring, where you're like crashing, and like partly I get poles for free, kind of basically, so it's a little easier to justify. But even before that, like the Gossamer Gear poles are awesome for what they're intended for, like the PCT and trails and things like that. I used them on the Bob Marshall Open, which was like post holing through like snow, and you're planting half the pole. It's so easy to lever the pole and break them. And I did break a bunch, but I just kept using them because they were just so amazing to use. the agility.
I guess the braking is part of my hesitancy too, is because I'm mostly using trekking pole tents nowadays. So that seems like a pretty catastrophic thing to have happen. How do you ensure that your poles don't break? And have you had instances where someone is able to snap them?
Yeah, people certainly break them. Like it's 100%. It's a trade-off where we have poles that are pretty strong for an ultralight pole because we're able to use a little bit thicker tubing and we're saving weight in a bunch of ways. But one of the ways we're saving less weight is with the tubing. We're using light tubing, but we're not using like crazy light tubing. We're trying to save weight on the grip and the tips and the adjusters and all the details like that. But certainly they would break easier than probably your poles that weigh twice as much. Mm-hmm. So that is something that the risk spectrum is something where people need to decide what they're comfortable with. For me, the feel of an ultralight pole is worth it. And I'm also comfortable with breaking one in the sense that if you break one, usually it can still work. So if you break the middle section, it's sliding into a flick lock. You can just take whatever's left and still slide it in. It's still usually long enough. If you break a tip section, it's not great for hiking, but if you broke it near the bottom, I can still probably have enough length there to do my shelter. If it's a bit short, I get like a log or a rock and prop it under. It's kind of a fun challenge. Or worst case scenario, I find a stick. So I've totally forgotten my hiking poles on trips before and just like got to get 2 sticks, and it's kind of fun. It's a challenge.
Yeah, you're like a caveman again.
Yeah, so like sure you could play it safe and you could have poles that never break, but it's also like there's this relationship where it's not like a little bit more weight and they never break. It's just a spectrum where you go twice as heavy and you still might break them. Like I've wiped out on talus with my whole body weight and I've broken like heavy poles too. So you're never going to get zero risk. You still have to be willing to get creative if some crazy wipeout happens.
Yeah.
2 questions. One, what would you consider, because you were saying, talking about customer service emails and people who do things that are just like naturally something that could cause an accident or maybe their fault and them getting bummed and blaming it on the gear. What would you say, regardless of trekking poles, a standard life for a trekking pole set for the average person should be? Like, should I be expecting more than 2 years out of my poles, or is it like a car where I hit this milestone and I know, hey, it's probably around time that these are going to probably break or I'm going to need a new pair?
Yeah, good question. I think that through hiking, with most people, like with 90% of the public, they're not using gear enough to really wear things out. So they can sort of reasonably expect it to last indefinitely. Like their tent rarely is going to wear out. Their trekking poles can last them as long as they can. Whereas when you get on the PCT and you're hiking 2,600 miles, then things that normally don't wear out do start to wear out. Like a good example is zipper sliders, especially on the small zippers. People see that as, they're not normally thought of as a wear item, but they just wear, especially when they're sanding the zippers. And so it is sort of a good idea halfway through the PCT to replace your zipper sliders. And we're trying to do a better job of just explaining how that's actually not that hard to do. You can do it in like 5 minutes. It's like servicing your item and replacing a wear item. There you go. For trekking poles, they like breaking is from an accident, and they should never break spontaneously, of course, but accidents can happen. What is more of a wear item are the grips. And like when I hiked the PCT with my trekking poles, I didn't notice it happening. I hiked the whole trail, and then after the trail, I had a new pair, and I set them beside them, and I was like, oh man, the grips are like way skinnier because I've like literally worn these grips. Like a third of the grip has been worn off. So grips usually will last more than a PCT, but they do wear. I don't think, maybe you could triple crown on grips, but it'd be nice to have new grips on a triple crown. And tips live a really hard life. I was doing the math on it. People that are hitting a pole every step on a PCT, they impact the ground roughly 1 million times. And well, lots of those are gentle, but sometimes it gets wedged between 2 rocks or whatever. Tips are like getting a little bent, getting dinged. You imagine a tip that's just set inside a metal sort of crown, taking 1 million impacts, and if it eventually gets a little bit loose and falls out. So for trekking poles, I think the main thing would be potentially replacing the tips. It's actually not that hard to do. When I did it on the PCT, I had lost one of the cardboard bits. I just melted it in boiling water, twisted the tip off, stole tips from another pole in the hiker box, glued them on. Most tips work with most other poles. So that's probably on the wear item would be the tips.
Interesting. What is the dumbest way you've ever broken a piece of gear?
I break a lot of gear. I'm hard on stuff. This is pretty dumb, I guess. I got a pack raft, which was like a new thing for me. This was 2012. Got a new pack raft. It's February, and I was too excited. I'm like, got to take this immediately. I have to go take this thing, to the river, to the whitewater. I don't even know how to use a kayak paddle that are feathered. So when you try to paddle, you're like catching, kind of just slicing through the water because you don't have the blade oriented correctly. Jump in the river. It's February in Canada. There's like ice on the edges of the river. I'm paddling. It's whitewater, and I really suck at paddling. And I come around the corner, and there's a tree right across the river. And so this isn't like a funny story. This is like a I almost died story.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Like
There's this tree across the river, and I'm like, oh crap! Like I don't even know what to do because I didn't do any research. I just jumped into my pack raft here. So I paddled for the shore, and I suck at paddling, but I sort of just make it there right before, like 10 feet before the tree. And I should have just jumped out of the boat onto the shore, just like bailed out. But I tried to grab this basketball-sized rock. I was just like, I just grabbed this rock. And it just was like this gravel bank, and the rock just like pulled into the river with me.
Oh, no.
So I had
Pinned under a boulder floating down an icy river.
So I had dropped my paddle to grab the boulder, and then the boulder swung me backwards. And so now I'm like backwards without my paddle with like a rock on my pack raft in February going into a log. And I just like hit this tree because like you're going to hit the tree. You should be oriented the right way and try to jump over the tree. They tell me that's how you're supposed to handle those situations. But I just like went like straight under the tree. The current just like pushed me through. It was like big evergreen, like full branches, super bushy. The current just like pushed me through all the branches. And then thankfully I made it through and didn't get snagged on something and drown. And so I made it through, and then I swam to shore, and I ended up, then my paddle's floating down the river. So I had to like run down, jump in, swim out, get the paddle, come back. By then my pack raft that was stuck under the tree had filled enough with water to start pushing under. So it was probably like 10 minutes because I had swam way downstream to get the paddle. I'd come all the way back. Then the raft went under. I had to jump in the river again in February. I'm like super cold by this time.
Wait, you swam downriver to get the paddles? You didn't just like run down on the side?
I like ran down the side, but then it's way out in like a pretty good sized river. So you have to like swim out to get it.
Shit.
And I'm wearing like fleece and stuff because it's
Whitewater.
February. I'm just wearing rain gear too because I'm like from the old school of pack rafting where you don't have like a dry suit. You just like put on your rain gear. So finally got the pack raft out. Everything was okay. I was like super cold, so I just like packed up the stuff. And there was a road near this river, so I just like my car. I had walked up like 5 miles to paddle this section. And I just walked back down and was like speed walking to try to warm up. And then like a couple days later, I was just like covered in bruises because just getting pushed through that tree.
Holy shit.
Man.
That was a much better story than I was expecting.
Yeah,
from
good,
Yeah,
good
so-
question, Chaunce.
So the breaking the gear is that like my brand new pack raft had like a giant rip from getting pushed through the tree.
Oh, no. Did you ever get another one, or was that it for pack rafting?
I had that one for a long time, and then just a few months ago, I finally got a new alpaca. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they're a lot of fun, but there's you want to take it seriously.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So we have more normal questions for you, but I want to make sure we get to this. This is a new segment we've invented just for you. It's called Piranha Pool. The name that we wanted was already taken. But let's pretend like you've got $1 million that you want to invest in some sort of new gear innovation.
Yep.
Chaunce and I are going to each pitch you 3 of our gear innovations,
Okay.
and you decide how that money is getting allocated based on the gear ideas that
Yeah.
we've got here. I'm going to start. Okay, so you know kid carriers, how they have like the little like shade attachment that goes over the top of it? That, but for backpacks. Because I don't like sun hoodies because they sit on your skin. They just trap too much heat. Umbrellas, I think, are the best solution that we have currently, but I don't want my hands involved. And I know that you can affix the umbrella, but that can still be cumbersome in most situations. I want a shade cover that you can literally like clip into your pack.
Okay.
You don't have to say anything until we've
It's-
presented all of our
yeah.
ideas, but that's my idea. That's my first idea.
Okay, my first idea, I've already pitched it to Gossamer Gear. But hey, whoever's willing to
you've got
take
the big
it,
investors on board. yeah.
I'm willing to collab with whoever. I just want this product made, which is very simple. It's just a tent built in size for people who are 5'5" or under. We've been calling it Le Petit Chaunce or Le Chaunce Petite. We want a petite tent for small people. And I know that there's some that are long tents for long people, but long people get everything. They get long sleeping pads, they get long sleeping bags, they get long tents. Why can't we have something once?
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge market there. especially because people are ultralight and they want to save weight where they can. And a lot of hikers are women that are 5'5" or under and short kings. And I think that they would really appreciate the savings in weight to not be sleeping in a palace every night. I've got too much room in my tents. Every tent I go in, I've got so much room. And
You're
I
in the one?
I've done the 1, I've done the 2, I've done the duplex. The 2 was like a 5-star hotel. Like I could just roll back and forth and just raise my arms and not touch anything. But I want something where I go in and I'm like, ooh, a bit snug, but this will work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no extra space.
Okay.
Is that just a kids tent? Is that a thing? Do they have kids tents?
They might, but I don't think they would have ultralight kids tents because I don't think kids ultralight backpack. I want an ultralight, petite, 5'5" and under tent.
Okay.
You got my money.
Noted.
All right. This is an idea. So we're all familiar with edible underpants, I think.
Yeah.
We've been to Spencer's.
Yeah. So inevitably when you do shit your pants, I want something that, so you don't have to have the unfortunate situation where if you get so much shit in it, like there's no cleaning it, there's no coming back from it, you don't want to have to carry it out. I want dissolvable underpants, and I haven't totally thought through how we're going to achieve this.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like a chemical combination that we can use and put it into like a Ziploc bag, and it's going to do most of the dirty work for us. But I don't want to have to haul the underpants that I've shat.
Yeah.
Significant.
Is this like a frequent problem for you? It sounds like it should be
frequent, rare. Define frequent.
Like more than once in your
enough
life?
that this is one of my 3 ideas.
Okay.
Here's a piggyback off Dan's comment, question, concern. What happens if you shit yourself and that dissolves the underwear and then your shit's just in your pants?
Yeah, there has to be some sort of action
component
taken to the underpants to dissolve them. Like they're not just like underpants that are set to dissolve after a certain amount of time.
Oh, you gotta get the right chemical.
Yeah,
reaction.
like we're mixing MSG with element packets. I don't know what it is, but
a little lime juice.
Yeah,
Could they be biodegradable, like a?
Yeah, but like.
Or you want to really have a definitive action you can take?
Yeah, like if putting an orange peel out is going to sit there for how many ever
Yeah,
months,
people don't want
years.
Zach's underwear all over the trail waiting for it.
Yeah. No, I want it to dissolve in a Ziploc bag so I don't have to think about the shit that I'm carrying around. So
Okay.
That's idea number 2.
Okay.
We'll probably need a chemist to get involved. I know you're a biologist. We'll need
Yeah.
Sounds like you need some parameterization.
That movie with Jack Black where he's got the poo evaporate.
What is that from? That's familiar.
It's like some invention where there's an aerosol can and you spray your dog poo.
Yeah.
And it just disappears.
Yeah. That's
some of that on your underwear.
Yeah. There we go.
Sure.
Yeah.
You then have to carry the aerosol, but I don't know. My ideas are pretty good too. Okay, my second idea, I want equilibrium. I want to feel equally balanced on all directions at all times, and that does not happen with a standard backpack because all the weight's on the back. Mm-hmm. And when I did the Colorado Trail, I was hiking with my ex who had a dog that didn't do great at high altitude. And so I ended up carrying the dog for like a lot of miles on that trail, like just put on my raincoat, put him in, hooked the bottom into the clip of my backpack so that he wouldn't fall out and would just zip up and like me and his head walking. And while it was adding 18 to 20 pounds of dog to my weight, something about it felt really good while hiking because my front felt balanced to my back. So it was like, yes, it's heavier, but it's not pulling me.
Yep.
It's heavier, but I feel so centered and balanced. And so I want to take vest packs like the Zerk or like other ones that have those bigger front pockets. But I want to go further. I want this to be like one of those life vests that go over your head that are like full front, full back that the like whitewater rafting people wear, the sleek ones, and they clip on the sides.
Yeah.
But I want that to be usable space, and I want that to be usable space. Like I want to shove my tent or my food bag into the front and then shit into the back, and then it's equally weighted.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
This is also an idea. Okay, so obviously in a desperate circumstance, you're in grizzly territory, you're getting charged by a bear, you spray your bear spray. This is not that. This is something where you feel like you're in an intermediate level of danger. You wouldn't want to pull your spray because they're not close, but like you can sense that there's grizzly activity, and for whatever reason, you just got a bad feeling. This is called the skunk pack. And somewhere built into the pack, there's like tubes of ammonia that like a skunk.
Zach knocks himself out.
You're spraying the surrounding area because I believe bears are opposed to the scent of ammonia. You're just leaving little traces, letting them know, like, no, this is not a cool thing to have. And I don't want it to be a separate gear item because I want it to be directly built into the pack because that's pretty fundamental to the name of this product.
Yeah, you could do that, like with maybe urea, like a urine scent that might tell the bears there's a big scary. Don't mess with this area.
I like.
Maybe your underwear dissolves
Into
by
ammonia.
bear. By
Into
bear.
a sauce.
When
you can
near
spread.
bear, underwear dissolves. And
Yeah.
then you just throw it at him.
Yeah, good.
The bear repellent underwear. Yeah.
Okay. My third one is, and it also has a fun name, retractable traction.
Okay.
So shoes that they have maybe like a little dial knob that you can turn, and they've got like retractable little spikes in them. So you're just walking on regular tread shoes, but should you get somewhere slippy, maybe something where there's like patches of snow along the way, but not a lot, you can turn that knob and it'll release the claws and you get your little micro spikes out.
That's actually pretty cool.
I want royalties on any of these.
Yeah. All right. So you have $1 million.
Yeah. Okay. So the answers. Okay. Okay. So from like a business perspective, I think Chaunce's ideas are way better.
Yes.
I am most dear to my heart is the Equilibrium backpack. I'm like super like feeling that desire. My first backpack was this giant 80-liter North Face. It was so heavy that you have to lean forward to counterbalance it to center your mass. So with a huge pack like that, you end up just staring at your feet all day, and you get. I think this is like I think this is a huge cause of lower back soreness in backpacking that people don't really connect, is that when you have to hunch forward all day to counterbalance your backpack, you're using your muscles in your lower back. And you don't really notice it because it's not like one instant, but you use these muscles all day and then you go to bed and you lay in your sleeping pad and you wake up and you're so stiff and sore and you're like, oh, that darn sleeping pad. And that's probably part of it. But I also think that being hunched all day is part of it. So I'm a huge proponent of posture in backpacks, which like putting the weight on the front, like the Zerk, like the Arn packs, I think it's huge. That's one of the reasons why we don't, on our Kako pack, people always want like a trampoline back and move the whole thing back 2 inches. And that helps with sweat. And I feel like it's this trap because people really notice when you stop the sweat. They're like, this is amazing. They notice the positive, but they don't really notice the negative of having to lean forward because it happens over a much longer time scale. It just gradually accumulates the soreness. Whereas the sweat's like, oh, wow, like this is an immediate benefit. Yeah. So that's my, like, I don't know how you do it because the problem is if you put a lot on the front, you get sweaty.
You could do trampoline back and trampoline front.
You could. Yep. And then you have to solve not making it too weird that people are scared to try it, which you could get through. I think there's possibility there. I don't know like exactly what it looks like, but
I think you just need someone willing to do it. That's me.
Someone super cool like you.
Yeah.
Is there also a loss of efficiency with more momentum of the pack shifting weight? I mean, not just not both the front and the back. I guess it could be either component, but I feel like if there's weight swinging, that is going to affect the efficiency of the stride as well.
Yeah, you would have to have the weight secured. There's already inefficiency on posture because if you're completely upright, all the weight's just on your skeletal structure. Like standing there with your legs locked, you're just standing on bone structure. If you're like my arms can just hang here and I'm not doing any work, but if I want to hold them out, I'm still balanced because I move. But now I'm not in like I'm not fully skeletally supported. I'm using a muscle. Same with a backpack. You have to be like actually countering, doing a little bit of work to hold that forward lean position. Well, actually, maybe that's not. I guess you're balanced. I'm not sure if that's true, but there's definitely it's harder on your muscles.
I think it's something where people would maybe be apprehensive at first because of how it looks. Mm-hmm. But I think if you had a couple of people on big trails using it and other people saw it, that jealousy would start to hit when they're like, wow, your back doesn't hurt in the morning. And it's like, no, I'm also like not hunched over.
Yep. And I feel like you can like the posture is huge and also just seeing. When you have a giant heavy backpack, you actually stare at the trail. When you get this light and good upright posture, you're like, oh, like look at the beautiful world.
I also just really appreciate the accessibility of having stuff in front of you.
Yep.
Like the shoulder strap pockets. We talked about this on a recent podcast, but like now I will only buy packs that have like the large shoulder strap pockets.
There?
Yeah.
Because my thing is like I love the large shoulder pockets and I love my huge fanny pack and I want the fanny pack to be bigger. And it's like, well, then at what point do we just combine all these things?
Yeah.
Maybe we're getting there. Like the shoulder strap pockets, the vest style straps are growing every year. They're a little bigger and there's new packs and then the fanny packs are everywhere.
Have you seen the exotic packs?
I know the company. I've seen their backpacks. Do
Yeah.
they have front stuff?
I feel like he's doing more in integrating like pockets on like the side compartment too, and like the shoulder strap pockets are much larger compared to the ones that I think are out there currently.
Yeah.
I think he's doing some cool innovations there.
Here's my question about that, and this is why I've thought over the head life vest style is if you have pockets on the side and you're moving your arms while hiking, you're going to chafe because you're going to rub on the pockets, especially if you stuff them full, then your arms can't move naturally. So you need slim sides and total front and total back, and then nothing blocking the side except for the clip that stops it from swinging is what I've thought of.
Yeah, I haven't tried out the pack. It just looks interesting, but he uses them. Seems like he likes it.
So yeah, I think that's the winner. That's where I think like the actual like if there's a commercial future to one of these, I think it's there. But small tents would be great too. It's
real easy. You just take what you have and you size it down.
Yeah. The temptation is to like, how do you make, people tend to want to make one product that's good for like 90% of people. Because if you're like, well, we're going to make two, it just gets more complicated. Like if you're updating the product, but only one of them sold out, then you have to just wait to launch the new version until they're all sold out.
Think of this. So many companies have long versions of things. So they have the regular and the long.
Yep.
Not many have the petite version. So you wouldn't have much competitive landscape there.
Yeah. And people would love how it's lighter.
And they'd appreciate you for showing attention to a under attentioned group, like
you would
short people.
Be very thoughtful.
Yeah, so it would be really thoughtful.
You'd also get the UL sickos that would like sleep in the fetal position just to save the weight.
Well, that's like how Gossamer Gear, they sell a lot of the one in Japan, because I had bought it thinking it was a 2-person tent. I know that's really stupid. It's called the one. But they told me, to make me feel better, that apparently a lot of people in Japan will buy it for 2 people because they like how small it is.
Yeah.
So you could also maybe have a market in Japan for Le Petit Front Chaunce.
That'd be good. You just would want it to be very clear in the name that it's for short people, because otherwise everyone on the internet's going to be like, this stupid thing, like, doesn't fit. I'm only 6'4" and it doesn't fit me. This is terrible.
The anti-long.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lightheart Gear has the so long, and they could have like a so short.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go to them next. I'm going to yell this from the rooftop until someone makes me a short tent.
One thing that I don't think we discussed in the last podcast, I hope I'm wrong, or I hope I'm right about this, we're not just covering ground, is the product differentiation with your backpack. Like we just got done talking about all of our interesting product innovations. I'll work on the dissolvable underpants.
Yeah, you're on your own.
But yeah, walk us through what makes the Kakwa.
Kakwa. Yeah.
How is that different from the Landscape?
There's some things. Backpacks are hard because I'm not sure if the actual products are like really sort of optimized already, or if it's just what people want is pretty narrow. It feels like with tents, there's a lot of opportunity to explore new shapes and with a unique set of benefits that sometimes it ends up working out well. With backpacks, people sometimes do crazy things. Like there was a backpack on Backpacking Light maybe a decade ago that was just one strap. They called it the bandolier, and it just ran like at an angle across your chest. It was cool, and it saved the weight of the other strap, but it's also like fundamentally only loading one of your shoulders, so it only really works if you're super light. So I feel like there is less space to really do creative things on the backpack. I hope I'm wrong, and one day I'm like, no, it's 3 shoulder straps, or like, something fundamentally different. Like 2 shoulder straps and like a collar around your neck.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure there's a market for that.
And then
for
on the
reasons.
college says Durston's bitch.
So I think like our backpack, I wouldn't say it's like as radical as differentiated, but I still think there's a bunch of things in it that we do well. One of the big things is for the frame. A lot of ultralight backpacks only have vertical support, so they have bars, and that keeps the weight. It could transfer it down to your hips. What they don't have is what I call horizontal support, like a crossbar, and without that, the backpack, as you stuff it's going to want to round into a tube, and that's contributing to a posture problem because it moves. If it's round, it's moving back from your shoulders. It's hanging back more. You have to lean forward more to counterbalance it. It's just not as good for posture and ergonomics. So we have a frame that is a U shape. We're not the only ones that do it, but it's less common. So it does keep it against your shoulders, and then we try to combine it with a bunch of other load carrying features that also aren't like fully unique to us. Like it has a dual strap reverse pull. I forget the inventor's name. But anyways, it's a dual strap hip belt, whether you pull in the natural direction instead of pulling against the direction. It's hard to explain, but when you use it, you're like, oh, it's actually easier to adjust. Partly it's because of the direction, and partly because it creates 2-to-1 leverage. So it's half the effort to pull it tight. The most, I think, unique thing on our backpacks, though, is what I call the quick pocket. It's not like a name that people know too well, but essentially the goal is that you're trying to make gear more accessible. So you've got hip belt pockets were a revolution like 15, 20 years ago. People were like, whoa, I can have like my snacks while I'm hiking. And it was like so cool, hip belt pockets. And then there's been shoulder strap pockets. And then more recently, there's been bottom pockets. And the cool thing with the bottom pockets is that you can have bigger stuff. So it's not just like whatever fits in shoulder strap and hip belt pockets, but bigger stuff can go in the bottom pocket, like hats or a mitt, something like that. I personally have always had a hard time with bottom pockets because I'm a big durability guy. I do a lot of bushwhacking, that sort of thing. And I'm just scared that stuff's going to fall out if it's just held by like a kind of a spandex type material on the bottom. So I was thinking about with the backpack, how do we get storage for a little bit bigger stuff that I can access without taking off my backpack, that's not going to be in this spot where I'm putting this less durable material right in the highest wear spot, and where it's more secure, and where if I fall, I don't like crush the stuff. So that's the quick pocket. And basically what that is it's one of the side pockets. It's a double wall. So it's hard to explain. You kind of got to see it, but it's a double wall. So the pocket is like, we make two pockets basically, sew them together, and there's a zipper that reaches between the two walls. And the inner pocket can basically flip. So you can have access to all the pocket space from the front. So now with that, the zipper easily operates on your side when you're wearing it. And then mitts, hats, like giant, people have like these giant phones or like mini tablets. You can put those things in there, maps, books. It's just making things more accessible in a way that doesn't have the drawbacks of a bottom pocket.
I'm going to give you one bonus idea. Okay.
Give her one compliment. And
Backpacks. Stop it. These are all good ideas. You know, when I'm sleep deprived, I think well. Backpacks on the back, right? My arms can never reach the water bottle. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult for me to get to it. But I've also thought of, you turn the water bottle sideways and you put like a little bungee over it to keep it from falling out, and then you lift it and you take it out. But that stops the arm thing that I was talking about, that chafe. Yeah. So if there could be like a pocket here, like the stretchy pockets you have on the front, but on the sides of the back at the top, so that I could stick my water bottle in there over the shoulder and pull it out over the shoulder. Because the straps on the shoulders are really nice, but if you use a 1 liter bottle, it's big. I've noticed when I like do my vlogs that it like, if I'm holding my camera here and I've got my water bottle here, like half my face can't be seen because it's just like the whole time. But if I had it right there, whoop, there it goes, drink, whoop, there it goes.
If you could pull that off elegantly, it would be really cool. I think you could. I think you have an easy time pulling it out. I think it would be hard to put it back. Like if it was a stretchy pocket, you almost need one hand to like hold it open. You need to somehow make a pocket that could receive things reliably. Because if it only worked 3/4 of the time, you'd be kind of frustrated trying to stuff it back.
What if you had like a little like bar that went to like the outer part of the stretchy pocket that went like that, where you could push it and it pushes the pocket open?
Yeah.
And so like I could push it like that and then drop it in.
You could do. You could have a contraption. That would probably, when I'm parameterizing the search for this, I would probably say like no like mechanisms, because if the bar jammed, it would add weight. Yeah. And if it like the spring wore out or something, you would be super annoyed. Mm. So I would like really try to get it working passively, like in with fewer parts. But I don't know if you could.
I don't know either.
But yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah.
Brilliant. He said brilliant, Zach.
He thinks it's going to make you stop. Yeah. He doesn't realize that's just
pouring gas. Flattering me. He's like it's 456 people.
Fires you, we got a job for you.
Perfect. You hear that, Zach? I'm in high demand.
Yeah.
He didn't even mention me in the beginning of it. Don't forget, I'm here 2 hours ago. He didn't even intro me as part of the team.
He was asking about members of the Trek. We're different from the podcast.
Whatever.
Not a real member.
Yeah, you haven't written an article in 3 years. You have to do your 1 article per year to be considered.
Okay, but I've sent good inspo. I sent a run, don't walk yesterday. I just didn't want to make it myself.
True. I'm blanking on my other question here somewhere. It's going to come to me as soon as we end the podcast. I'm going to break something. But yeah, I guess based on time, we'll probably put a bow on it here. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Stay salty question? No.
We'll do that. But before we get to the sponsor question, is there anything that you feel especially passionate about nowadays?
Like, I just am so grateful to the people. Like, we don't have advertising, marketing. We're just a dude in a ugly little warehouse trying to make cool stuff, and it's the passionate hikers that use our stuff that make it all possible. So I'm just so grateful to all our supporters that make it happen, and a big thank you to those people.
Yeah. We didn't get a chance to talk about your recent hikes. We haven't talked about like tariff stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have to do a third version at the maybe PCT Days next year or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But Chaunce is right. We'll have to end this with our sponsor question, the Stay Salty question, presented by LMNT. Use our code or URL, drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. I have a feeling this will yield a very interesting answer. What's your hottest take in the world of backpacking or outdoors at large?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was going to be an electrolyte question, and I was going to tell it when I almost died because I didn't know they existed. And I had like heat stroke from no electrolytes.
You can still tell us the story.
That counts.
I like real quick. I tried to do a speed record. It was like a 100-kilometer hike. It was scorching. It was like 100 degrees. I had never heard of electrolytes. I was like, yeah, who needs stuff, right? I just gonna power through this. And I completely sweated myself out. I was like covered in wet. I ended up stopping 3/4 of the way through because I was getting so nauseous and my heart rate wouldn't come down. So I stopped. It was like 8 o'clock at night. I laid down on like this sand beside this river, and my heart would not come down. It was just like racing. I could like feel it pounding in my ears. And it was because I had no salts left, and so my body was trying to cool itself by like circulating blood, apparently. And so I was laying there. It wouldn't come down. I laid there at 8, and I was still laying there at like 2 a.m., just like my heart was at like 200 for like 6 hours. And I was like, what is happening? And then eventually I realized I was like, oh, electrolytes. Like maybe you need those. Because like everything was white from how much I had sweated.
Yeah.
And I did have this packet of tuna in like a brine. And so I was like, oh, like then after like 2 a.m. I drank it, and then like 30 minutes later, like my heart came down, and I was like, that's why you use electrolytes.
Wow.
And then it was crazy. I was so sensitive to heat for like the rest of that summer, like a little bit hot, and I would just like I'm not really a sweaty guy, but like that summer, if I got like slightly hotter, my body would just like overcompensate, just like.
Is that a physiological thing that you think is happening, or like a mental, like a PTSD kind of reaction?
The body's a weird thing. I just remember that after the hike, my buddy was like, we got to go out for this Indian like spicy curry, and I was just getting destroyed in the restaurant. So that was why you need electrolytes. Hottest take in backpacking in general? I feel like I normally have a lot of good ones. Yeah, I'm blanking a bit here. Well, it's not that controversial, but I like something I'm passionate about is that I think the Great Divide Trail in Canada is like the best through hike. Like Appalachian Trail is cool, PCT was awesome, but there's just something so. It depends what you're looking for in a through hike. If you're looking for community, it's not it. If you're looking for like amazing food in the towns, it's not it. But if you're looking for like raw, authentic, big, scary wilderness that really is just like, wow, like I am out here. Like that's what to me resonates the most on a through hike. It's just like a big, intimidating landscape. And for that, like the Great Divide Trail is my favorite. So it's my favorite through hike.
Yeah. Shout out to the Trek's editor, Kelly, who's out romping on the GDT right now. I actually remembered what I wanted to ask, and they weren't actually my questions. We put out a call for our listeners to submit questions.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
So I want to do a few of those before we wrap here, because otherwise that's a wasted effort on my behalf. This one made me laugh from recent guest. This is Scorpion Queen. How does it make you feel when you see photos of people's terrible tent pitches?
Oh,
That's funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, they gotta fix that. There's like the jokes on the internet where like Dan's gonna show up and just like, excuse me. It's just like it's like the Jehovah's Witnesses that always show up at your door, but I'm just like, Dan, yeah, yeah.
You could do that at Tent City.
I could, yeah. It's awkward because you see something, but you don't want to like I can't do it at Tent City because these people have used these tents for like 100 days. And now I'm like, you don't actually know how to pitch the tent that you just slept in
I'm
for
sure
like
they would be honored, honestly.
Faker.
Like if the designer of their tent came over and gave them a little nudge, I think that would be appreciated.
I just try to tell myself that like people just need a shelter and it's doing that. I like to see when they're pitched nicely, but I try to. The OCD tries to let go.
I think we kind of touched this one already. If so, feel free to skip it. But JF Adventures asks, how will you maintain such great customer service as you grow, see more success?
Yeah, one thing I'd really like to do is make a bunch of like videos, because I'm like a giant nerd on so much stuff. I want to make a video on like why the way everyone tells you to fit a backpack is wrong. Like, it's so wrong. Like, people tell you to measure from your iliac crest to your C7. It's just a proxy for like how the backpack should align to your torso. But when you measure that, that distance changes as your posture. Like, if you lean forward while they're measuring, it changes by like an inch. A lot of men prefer to wear their hip belt a little bit lower than their iliac crest, so then they complain the backpack's too small when really they prefer to wear it lower. Different body shapes are less comfortable with wearing it there, like depending on their body shape and things like that. So there's all these different factors, and then to boil it down to just measure this one thing. So anyways, I would like to make videos that relate to our products, but it's helping people have a better experience by talking about like guideline systems, talking about pack fitting, all these things. And I think there's a lot of value we could add that we hardly scratched the surface on.
Yeah. Don't know if you want to address this one. How do you feel about every company making X-Dome knockoffs? I won't name any of the company that I listed, but do you feel like there's some flattering imitation happening out there?
Oh yeah, it's awkward. Like, certainly gear is not like an island, and you're building off other ideas. And so my hope would be that companies could be respectful towards when they're using ideas and also contribute something. So if somebody was like, hey, we're going to exactly copy your tent, but we love it, you're like, okay. If it's like, we're going to take something from your tent, but we're also going to add some other cool things, then it's like, okay, that's flattering because I like inspired something that is moving forward. So that's what I would hope, is that we could have like a good sort of camaraderie and respect. Our tents use things in other tents, and I think we're pretty good at being like, yeah, absolutely. Like we did not invent like the diagonal ridge light is not. There was like 3 other tents that had it before us, and like awesome tents. And I'm not going to take credit for that. But we did also invent like the parallelogram floor and the double diagonal tent and things like that. So it's, yeah, as long as it's respectful and contributing, that's good.
Are there instances where you feel like that's not the case?
Have you ever seen a cease and desist?
I mean, I have emailed with companies like informally ask. I've never like sent a lawyer letter.
Yeah.
We have like a straight knockoff in China now. It's not I don't think it's a big deal. Like, we don't mark up our stuff that much. Like, we build it and then we only add like a pretty modest amount. So if you're buying something that's a lot cheaper, it's just like, it really is like just not as good. So there is I won't say their name, but yeah, there's a China clone that you can tell they didn't really know what they were doing, because certain things are a certain way for a certain reason, and the thing they do sort of resembles it, but doesn't actually accomplish the function. So like the tent, it's still like 70% of the price, and you're like, okay, like 30% more, you get the real thing, and everything's better.
Yeah. It's not like buying Maui Jam sunglasses where it's just like an aesthetic thing. Like, there's a function to what you're making.
Yeah. That matters.
This might be some sort of inside humor. Why is your hat just as comically large as your 2-person tent?
My hat?
Yeah, do you have a large hat?
I had a hat on the PCT that I was really proud that I wore the whole trail, because it was like falling apart the whole trail, and it was just like progressively getting worse.
Okay.
My wife hated it, so then I wanted to keep wearing it. And it had like, it didn't even have the top. It was just like a brim that was, yeah. So that was the thing. That was fun.
Well, with this one, I love that somebody submitted this question. This is from Chloe Rugers. What's been your favorite part of the particular interview that you're currently in?
Oh, the favorite part.
It's funny.
Like, I think this is going pretty well. I think the interview's gone pretty well. You guys are doing a good job. I think that the edible underwear was like, that was a new moment, and trying to react to that. Yeah.
I like that you called it edible underwear,
and
not dissolvable.
We did touch on the edible underwear.
It'll
Zach
evolve
shits
over
his
time.
pants and just starts eating it.
That would be the
calories.
Right?
It's calories.
Reduce, reuse,
Zach's
recycle.
peanut butter.
Yeah. Well, Dan, thank you so much for doing this. Round 2, really appreciate it. You're a very insightful person, and the backpacking community is very grateful for your innovations and just energy that goes into the thought for this stuff. And I think you also handle the customer service side of things like perfectly. So I hope other brands follow your lead on those fronts. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show, keeping things on brand, PCT themed. This piece I want to feature is a recent one and very well done by Kelsey Nanini. The 12 best of weekend section hikes on the PCT. This one covers hiking options in all 5 sections of the trail: Desert, Sierra, NorCal, Oregon, and Washington. Includes some of my personal favorites. Well done, Kelsey. Includes Snoqualmie Pass, Mount Hood, Muir Hut via Bishop Pass, and many others. But yeah, if you're looking for ways to experience the trail and you don't have 5 months to give to it, this is an excellent way to see the highlights. The first hike I did after the twins were born was, I could have gone back. I had like 3 days to do basically whatever I wanted all over the country. That was what Jenna gave me. And I went back to Goat Rocks Wilderness, and it was very worth it. But yeah, this piece includes the mileage of each section, permitting details, obviously very important, especially in this Sierra, and the highlights of that specific stretch. So well done, Kelsey. And Jess, I'm going to kick it to you. I want you to feature a recent blogger post.
All right. Well, I'm very excited to talk about this one. Shout out to Go on the AT. We've talked enough PCT. Let's talk some AT.
Let's do it.
Title of this one is Men in Their 50s Talking to Women in Their 20s. And the comment section on this one definitely got a little spicy. Starts off with obligatory not all men, not all women statement, which I think is the funniest way I've ever seen a Trek blog start. But essentially the idea behind this blog was women will be hiking on trail, and supposedly a man in their 50s will force them to listen to them talk for any extended period of time. And for me, and sorry if you take this personally, maybe do some self-reflection, this definitely was something that I experienced, and I can definitely name probably close to 10 different instances where, you know, you start off having a casual conversation with somebody, say hello, yada yada, how's your day going? Then you are locked there in conversation, just being blasted by this person, not getting a word in for like 20 to 30 minutes.
Interesting.
And I do a terrible job of saying, hey, I gotta go, or like, wow, that's so interesting. Anyway, you know, like, I'm just not good at doing that.
Yeah.
But in this blog, if you want to go and take a look at it, To Go calls out multiple instances where them or a friend have to deal with this, and essentially starts the discourse here. So I'm interested to see what people think about that.
Yeah. So you experienced this a good bit on the AT.
For sure. Yeah.
More so than just other normal walks of life.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess the circumstance is different because there's, you know, walking around the grocery store would be weird to like pin a stranger down and talk to them for a little bit.
And it happens.
Yeah. But like the trail's more conducive to it because you have a shared thing, and there's fewer people out there, so I guess a little bit more reason to potentially start up a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, it's not the sort of situation where I'm saying if you're a man in your 50s and you're having a conversation with me, like, go away.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah.
But like, I can, for instance, name a situation where, and I'm not going to say names, but I had a hiker, I was passing by him on trail. Hey, how's it going? Yada, yada. Having a good day? Okay, cool. Once I'm preparing to go on my way, stands up and stands in front of me and talks at me for like 20 minutes about how he only eats pemmican on trail. Like, this is what pemmican is. This is why I eat it. This is how I learned how to make it. This is how you can make it. And I was like, sir, this is an Arby's.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go.
So I'm curious to like break down what is actually happening, because just based on the way that you described it, it doesn't sound like flirtation. Like,
No.
if someone's talking about pemmican, it's not like they're making advances toward you.
Of course, a sexy pemmican hit line never always works on me.
I mean, everyone's got their fetish. Someone's got pemmican for sure. I'm just curious to know what, from your perspective, what you think that is.
I think it's this notion that women maybe are more chatty or less likely to push back. I also think there's like sort of like an amelioration that happens. You know, women are less likely to say like, hey, bud, like, go away.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't want to make somebody angry or make somebody uncomfortable. I think it's just something that happens. Obviously, like, not all women do this.
Yeah.
But I think there's that notion. Now, on top of that, again, I don't think it's a flirtation. And it could be a sort of situation where, hey, here's a cute girl, or hey, here's a young girl. I'm going to talk at her until she leaves.
Yeah.
This is my chance.
Yeah.
You know? But I also just think it could be like, hey, here's a nice person, and they haven't told me to screw off yet, so I'm
Sure.
going to talk at them for as long as I can.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that is just generational too. Like, I wonder if the 50-year-old guys are also doing the same thing to 20-year-old guys.
But I do think that a guy might be more likely to be like, all right, and walk off.
Yes, and as someone that has no problem doing that, I definitely fit the stereotype as well.
I have a terrible time doing that, so that might just be the issue right there.
Yeah, Jenna's the same way. She's very nice. And like when someone, like, I'm trying to think, if there's ever a circumstance where like we need work done at the house, like recently we got an estimate for like a built-in closet. I'm like, please schedule it for when I'm around, because otherwise we're going to sign up for a $10,000 closet.
Yeah,
it's like
100%.
I'm much better at saying no to something. There's definitely something to that.
Totally. And don't come at me, don't come at me. It's all with love. But
yeah.
Stop talking to me about pemmican.
Yeah. No, I mean, and as you pointed out, I think based on the commentary in this one, she definitely touched a nerve on both sides. Pissed a lot of people off, and I think a lot of people resonated with it.
For sure, yeah. And you can be a Punisher at any age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But this was my experience.
Yeah. I've also been trapped in conversation. We discussed at Trail Days that we'll have like code words to like pull each other out of conversations that are dragging on too long. So I talk a big game. Sometimes I do get stuck myself. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, go and check out that piece and enjoy it or hate it. But I hope you enjoy it because it was a really well done piece. And thank you for covering that. Okay, question of the day. This one's mine. Sleep has been a major theme in my life of late. Pick two for sleep. Pick two of the three options. You get the perfect pillow, you get the perfect air temperature, or you get the perfect mattress.
All right, so my take on it, I'm going perfect mattress and perfect air temp each time. If it's 1,000 degrees in my tent or it's freezing, like I'm going to have trouble getting to sleep either way, But if I have the perfect mattress, I know I'm going to be very comfortable. Now, if I wake up with like a crick in my neck or something, like, that can go away over the course of a day.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather have my whole body be more comfy and then be, in a perfect air temperature around me.
Now let me paint a unnecessarily extreme scenario here, hypothetical. For the mattress and pillow combination, you either get a brick, literal cinder block as a pillow,
cool,
with whatever perfect iteration of a mattress, or vice versa. You're sleeping on cinder block, but you get the most comfortable pillow in the world. You still pick the perfect mattress?
You're telling me that I'm sleeping on like a brick?
I guess the alternative would be just no pillow at all. If you got a choice between a brick and like just putting your head all the way crooked down on the mattress. Are you a side sleeper, back sleeper, front sleeper?
Side sleeper, front sleeper. So I'm just going to put my little arms up. I'm going to make myself a little pillow out of my hands.
Okay. I respect that. I was actually on the fence between what you picked and what I'll say. I'm going to change it up a little bit just to be interesting. Perfect temperature, fucking duh. I think that's the most important thing in life. And at the Airbnb, I think part of the reason I slept like shit was it didn't get cold. It was cold outside, but I had the window open. There just was not enough cross ventilation.
You weren't cold enough in your room?
No, I have to be like a minimum 67 to sleep comfortably.
You a vampire? What's going on?
Yeah, I need to sleep cold.
That's crazy.
I might be a vampire. And I picked perfect pillow.
Okay.
I do have a orientation caveat because I brought my pillow from home and I was intending to sleep on the flight. I have to be laying down flat. I can't sleep in like a recliner chair.
Oh, no.
I have to be completely horizontal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even no matter how tired you are?
Doesn't matter. I'm a terrible sleeper. I need conditions to be good in order for me to get sufficient sleep.
What's your perfect pillow?
I tend to pick pillows that are... So I think the scale is just like hard to soft, right? And I think hard just means like it has more stuffing. Soft is like you're basically digging all the way into the mattress. I tend to be on the extreme end towards soft, and yeah.
I would have taken you for a hard pillow guy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that about me, but I'm really soft at pillow heart. Yeah, no, give me a good pillow and I can sleep. I could sleep on this table with a good pillow, and it's cold enough in here.
Okay, right. Well, you're in luck because you can if you want to.
I can, and I won't. Let's go to today's Triple Crown. This is the Triple Crown of jobs you couldn't do. Do you want to go first, or
I can go first.
Okay.
I think it's kind of a obvious one, but
You included yours on the show notes in your second one. I can't wait for the explanation on this one.
This one's pretty obvious, but I couldn't do brain surgery.
Yeah. It's good to recognize that about yourself.
Yeah,
'cause before you know it, you get in there, have a brain in front of you, and be like, "Oh,
happens
wait a
all the
second.
time. They're constantly handing me scalpels. I'm like, guys, no, I can't do this.
What did I tell you? No,
No.
not for me."
Yeah.
Good. I think that's a good choice. I'm gonna go with for my first pick. I'm just gonna call out. This isn't my actual pick, but like honestly, most real jobs.
Okay.
I am inspired to do good work at the Trek because if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna have to go get a real job, and I haven't had a real job in 14 years now, and that fear is very inspiring for me. I wake up excited every day to be like, I get to do the coolest possible thing and not something that I hate. So yeah, most real jobs would be a struggle for me. I don't know. My next one is, and this, I will say this clearly calling out that I love my own children very much, but I don't love children enough to be a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like a teacher of, what's the worst age of kid? I'm going to pick something older because I've actually enjoyed every age of my children thus far, though I couldn't teach your children either. I would think that like I was probably peak terrible somewhere to the 8th to 10th grade range.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the early high school teacher when you're going through puberty. And I think that's where like a more mature, rebellious streak can come out. Like you start to feel some strong urge for independence and you're smart enough to actually like start executing on stuff. That would be tough for me to deal with a bunch of kids that were similar to how I was a good kid in a lot of ways. Like I didn't get in trouble, but I was a fucking nightmare for, I think, a lot of teachers.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
For a soft pillow kid? Are you kidding?
Well played. Snake draft, I'm going to go again. I think the rest of these, this is definitely due to my ADHD. And not that I couldn't do it, but like I definitely would do a terrible job at it. Is like data entry of some kind, like mindless, repetitive tasks. I can't. I need to be engaged to do any sort of job well. And it's not like I think that I'm better than the task. It's just that my brain does not operate that way. So yeah, if it was like any sort of data entry or like accounting or any stuff like that, if it's not interesting to me, it becomes very challenging.
Okay. Did you know that they invented this fun new thing called Adderall?
I've heard of it, and I find that I do better when I don't need it. That might be the most obvious statement of all time, but if it's a job that I'm interested in, I can get by with just like a few 100 milligrams of caffeine in my own curiosity. Yeah.
But put that on a bumper sticker. I like that. Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, for me with data entry, I mean, if you just like put on some binaural beats and give me a Red Bull, it's going. It's happening.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've met a lot of developers in my life, and like that is the ethos, is just like wee hours of the night, Red Bull, whatever stimulant it is, and like I think coding kind of just becomes a flow state for them. That'd be tough for me.
Yeah, agreed. All right. My next one, it's not so much a question of couldn't do it as much as you couldn't pay me to do it, would be an artificial insemination technician. Do you know what this is?
I'm assuming some sort of syringe into a lady's hoo-ha.
Jamie, pull up an artificial insemination technician. No, it is, you know when there's like a cow that needs seminating? It's the people that put on the big old rubber glove and get really... Got it. They get to know a cow really well.
Okay. I'm not feeling stupid with my guess.
Shout out to the folks that are really getting to know their cows very well, because that is not on my 10-year plan.
Yeah. I think that would be fun one time.
What? That's crazy.
I wouldn't want it as a job, but like...
Use the word fun?
A life experience, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that would add color to the library of life.
Okay. But I just want to call back to the word fun, because how deep inside this cow do you think that you're getting? Because you are getting way up there.
Is it past wrist?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's like elbow. I think it's elbow. I don't know. You could call me.
We'll have
on
to
that.
add that to the wheel and see if like a local farm will put us up for it.
That's so funny. Shot a margarita or inseminate a cow. The 2 food groups.
Cool, you get one more.
Yeah, all right. This last one is just purely because they wouldn't want me as an Air Force pilot. I am
Are you colorblind?
not colorblind. I'm blind as a bat, though. Super blind.
Yeah, you were telling me your numbers recently, and they were bad.
Yeah, it's like -6.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. I've met people who've had worse.
Can I try on your glasses right now?
Do you want to? Yeah. There you go.
Whoa, no way.
Can you see past the smudges?
That was like looking underwater. There was nothing that was even remotely, wow.
That's my favorite party trick.
That's great. And you can see the world through that.
No, that's why I wear glasses.
No, I'm saying like through the glasses, that's how you make sense of the world.
Oh, yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have very different vision. So without the glasses, you don't see anything.
I don't see anything. It's kind of nice at the end of the day because I take my glasses off. I don't even have to look at stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's really nice, but
How often do you wear contacts?
all the time. If I'm not in glasses, I'm wearing contacts.
Which one do you spend more in? I should know this.
You should know this. You see me all the time.
Like I said, I was very proud of myself when I noticed that you had changed the color of your hair. Don't ask me for it.
Right,
I'm a
no,
guy.
no.
I'm a guy.
Yeah.
I don't pick up on stuff.
Yeah, for sure. No. I'd say I probably wear the contacts more often. I wear glasses. I wear glasses when I hike because I don't want to deal with dirty hands, dirty contacts in my finger, like touching my eyeballs, eye infections. I don't want to deal with that.
Do you carry like an extra pair of glasses in case the lenses break or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I carry an extra pair.
Yeah.
On my first backpacking trip ever, one of my contacts fell out. Luckily, it was only an overnighter, but I had to hike like 10 miles with one eye closed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you do prescription sunglasses?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. Purely because I don't want to spend the money.
I assume that's not cheap.
Yeah, no, not cheap. Honestly, I'm sure it's probably accessible now, but
Yeah.
don't have them now and don't need them.
Man, that was a trip putting on your glasses. Yeah, good. Don't fly planes. My last one is, I think, somewhat not similar, but they're both in the sky. I can never be a skyscraper window washer.
Oh, okay. Do you have a fear of heights?
I think it's not like a phobia. Like we were talking recently, there's the drive on the $1 Million Highway, which is a highway that connects Silverton and Ouray. And I know people that can't handle that drive. I've done it there and back, and I could barely handle it.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I'm on the spectrum of exposure phobia, but I'm not full blown. My wife is way worse. Jenna's 1,000 times worse.
Okay.
We drove up to Evans one time, and she insisted on driving because of the phobia, and then she pulled over just sobbing, and I took it over from there. But yeah.
You ever skydived?
No, this is actually a conversation with Liz. You'll learn this in the next episode, but she's a prominent skydiver. And then she gave us the most harrowing story of were you there for that part?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't. I think I could skydive. Something about being out of control. I don't know. But like situations where I have to rely on my own balance to maneuver a high exposure terrain is just a different situation for me.
Locus of control.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you ever done like cliff diving or?
No, I've done, like jumping off. There's like a pretty popular rock jump in San Diego. I've done that. Like that doesn't bother me too much.
Okay.
But yeah, once it gets to like the point where
Roller coasters
are okay, out of control. Like driving and high exposure walking is definitely more of an issue for me.
Trapeze artist.
Yeah, probably not in my future.
Worth asking. You never know.
But yeah, the people that clean the windows on skyscrapers, like if I sit here and think about it intently, I can get my hands wet. It makes me nervous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I should start just like subliminally placing like pictures of.
Listen, if you want to share an
Window
office with
washers,
me,
things
I don't
like
wear deodorant, so that's your loss. I'll be stinking up the office.
Suddenly, I want to work in here now.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. That was the Triple Crown of jobs you couldn't do. My list is probably thousands of jobs long. I'm very inspired by not getting a real job, so shout out to you guys. Keep listening to the podcast. Like, subscribe.
# micro.
Micro.
Dirty jobs.
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. Where do we go? We have a listener voicemail.
Hey, Hi, Rachel here again. I'm still about a year behind in episodes, but I'm listening to the one where you've talked about Trader Joe's and Aldi and discount grocery stores. So this is really interesting. I've heard the Aldi Trader Joe's connection a lot, and I always have to Google it because it just feels like it's constantly changing. But basically, this is crazy, but Aldi, basically there are two brothers that own it now, and they split the company in two parts. So the American Aldi stores are run by one brother, and the Belgium, Spain, whatever other, like the non-American or English-speaking, they call them countries, are operated by another brother. And that is actually the brother that bought Trader Joe's, but Trader Joe's does still operate independently. So while they're connected, they don't technically operate together, if that makes sense. Also, side note, if you're looking for discount groceries and you're ever in Fort Collins, you should check out Esch's, E-S-H''S. It's a small family-run company whose sole mission is to divert food and products headed for the landfill from heading there, and they stock them on their shelves. Super, super cheap. It's amazing. Highly recommend.
Excellent.
I go there every week.
It's
the best.
Rachel has left us a few, so shout out to Rachel. Definitely going to win Listener of the Year award here soon. I'm trying to... What was the name of that grocery store?
Esch's?
I'm going to have to pull that.
E-S-C-H?
Aha, yes. Have you heard of this before?
No. I just moved here.
Yeah, but you're young. You hear stuff more. I don't leave my house.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just hanging out. Unless my kids know about it and they're telling me the hot goss, I'm not going to get it.
Right, and I'm gossiping to your kids constantly.
That's right. That's the food chain of information. Sweet. I'm going to check out Esch's. Looks like, I know she mentioned Fort Collins, but there might be a few here. Anyways. Good stuff. Thank you to Rachel for the listener voicemail. I can't even recall which episode we were talking about grocery store stuff. I'm sure it was a very enthralling conversation. But, oh, look, Chaunce actually walked in.
I tried to go like more in the front of the mouth than in the throat. The throat is where I
She
always...
shows up and just automatically potty mouth.
Oh, bye, Chaunce. Oh, it was good
Yeah.
to see her.
Oh, wait, she's coming back?
Oh.
How's your hole look?
Jeez.
That
You gotta be
do
nice to
you have a clean
yourself.
hole?
Gotta love yourself.
I am a piece of trash.
Yeah, go eat some lunch or something.
And you didn't do it until I
job
came
was
in
here?
with a fat bag of burgers.
Chaunce, you old bag.
Okay.
The underwear?
In the process of setting up for the listener voicemail, I was remembering the fact that I have a soundboard that has collected some dust, so this is always fun for me.
I am ready.
I am a cornbread hoe.
In traditional fashion, I'll let you take the mailbag.
Oh, boy.
I didn't prep you for this one.
No, you didn't. All right. Mailbag. All right. This one comes from Jim. Boom goes the bear canister. Are bear canisters airtight? When dry ice, solid carbon dioxide, sublimes from solid to gas, its volume expands tremendously. Rough numbers, 1 cc of dry ice will produce 1 liter of gas. If this gas has nowhere to go, the pressure will build until the container can no longer withstand the pressure. Boom. I have taught science for 25 years. I do a similar demonstration for my classes. I'm sure you can find plenty of dry ice in soda bottle videos on YouTube. Not sure that bear canisters are built to be airtight, but that surprise boom, while not fatal, would definitely scare the shit out of you. Perhaps one of the more entertaining poop stories for the podcast. Thanks for the entertainment during my dog walks. Stay safe, Jim.
Shout out to Jim. A little backstory. We've now gotten, I think, 4 mailbags from people on the subject about dry ice being used. I forgot who our guest was who was saying that they used dry ice in their bear canister or resupply of some kind to keep stuff cold for like actually cooking real meals.
Right, and all these mailbags are people think it's a great idea.
Or a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have opinions on this. Yeah. We struck a nerve on the dry ice for resupply. So, yeah.
I don't know, Jim. I know you've been teaching science for 25 years, but I think I might just give it a try anyway.
We should get a science high school teacher on here to teach us how to make meth. just in case the trek doesn't work out. I need a backup plan. Thank you to Jim.
Is that a Jesse we have to cook joke?
I've been getting a strange amount of Breaking Bad content in my Instagram feed of late.
I have too.
Yeah. Is there like a anniversary or something coming up?
I don't know.
I'm not complaining. Maybe. I love Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, for me, is
peak.
Maybe the best show of all time.
Oh, so I just finished Better Call Saul for the first time.
I've heard it's as good.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get past the first couple of episodes.
Okay.
Just because I know I'm going to love it, and the investment, what is it, like 6 seasons? 5 seasons?
Six seasons.
Yeah.
Six
I
seasons?
have commitment issues knowing that, like, once I get into it, I'll be into it, and then that'll be like a year of my life, basically.
Okay, yeah. We've talked about how we have differing opinions about television, so.
Did you not like Better Call Saul?
No, I liked it. I gave it like a solid, and the internet loves Better Call Saul, so I'm going to piss somebody off. But I gave it like a solid 7 out of 10. It can get really slow, but the good moments are really, really good.
Okay.
And obviously, like, Saul Goodman.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk is excellent.
Yeah. And Vince Gilligan's just an excellent story writer.
And and who plays Gus? Do you know what the actor's name is?
I don't, but I know. Yeah.
I do want him to give the eulogy at my funeral. Huge fan of that guy.
Yeah. I see him memed all the time. He's very memeable. Thank you to Jim. If you guys want to hear your mailbags read on this podcast, podcast@thetrek.co. 5-star review. Short, simple, and sweet. Firefish in Gart.
Fire fishing art?
There we go. I can never tell what their break is. This is
Fire fish fart.
Excellent. Can't believe it took me so long to find this fantastic podcast on hiking. Great job to the host. Thank you. Find firefish art. Fart.
Fire fart.
Fire fishing fart. If you guys want to hear your reviews right on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars. Just not 1, 2, 3, or 4. And be sure to send us a screenshot of your review and send that screenshot to podcast@thetrek.co, and we will send you a sticker. That's still falling on my plate, but I'm doing a good job with it, so I assure you guys won't be waiting multiple months as has happened in the past. Thank you to today's title sponsor, LMNT. Use our URL drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. We love ourselves some Element. I don't even know what can be said about them at this point that we haven't said a million times, but
I haven't said it on the podcast.
Yeah, say it.
Yummy.
Favorite flavor?
I like the raspberry. I like the raspberry salt, but also I like all the chocolate flavors.
Yeah,
I like them
we're
hot.
different that way. It's never a good practice to say that you don't like a flavor of the title sponsor. Chocolate's not my jam, but I love all of the non-chocolate stuff.
Okay, I like all of them. Overlord Element.
Yeah. I will say they sent me a lot of chocolate last year, so what was not my gain was some other people's gains. I was just throwing random packets in when people would buy stuff from the Trek store. Just no context. People were just getting random Element packets with their orders. So
surprise.
Yeah. I like to throw in goodies here and there with orders because, it keeps it interesting. So
maybe some dry ice.
You guys want some dry ice? Head on over to store.thetrek.co and we'll see what we can do. Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Bill Jensen, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brian Alsop, Fables, Carl Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Clever Innuendo, Clint Sittler, Coach from Marion Outdoors, Eric Casper.
The Friendly Ghost.
Oh, she nailed it. Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Jillian Daniels, Go Bills. This is a name change for Alex Kindle. Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel.
May he bring honor to his name.
Nice. Griffin, hey, would you bring me a beer? Haley Buckingham. Palace. Matt from Gilbert, Arizona. Patrick C. in Seattle. Rebecca Brave. Rural Juror.
The Rural Juror.
That person sent us a DM on Patreon saying that actually wasn't for us, that they did that for another podcast that they support on Patreon. Apparently it was an inside joke, but that they enjoyed listening to me read it. So there it is. The joke is that it's supposed to be difficult to say.
No, it's 30 Rock, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it was a podcast about 30 Rock is what they had changed it for. Sawyer Products spam the St. Louis Shaman. That's a new one. We'll come up with something there. I think of Shaman, Matt from Matt and Shane Cedar podcast. Probably no one gets that reference. Timothy Hahn, Solo, Tracy Trigger, Kingo, Vans, That was good. Thank you to our guy, Paulie at Old Man Murphs. Go to ommcr.com to get yourself some delicious beans. Thank you, Paulie. You can follow us at social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok at Backpacker Pod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Sass.
Just Likes Trails.
Woo.
YouTube
on
and Instagram.
YouTube, Instagram. Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books. Would be very grateful for a review on either. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Remember when you said bye prematurely last time?
I remember.
It's not premature now. You want to say it?
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.